yourselves for hungry zombies, killer clowns, masked psychopaths, and chainsaw-wielding fiends. Spooky season is upon us, and we'll be your guide through some of Southern California's finest scare attractions. From nightmarish mazes to terrifying jump scares, we'll be reviewing every creature, ghostly whisper, and scream as we give you an inside look into the heart-pounding, bone-chilling world of haunted houses and immersive events. Turn off the lights, lock the doors, and join us for this spine-tingling special edition of Scripts and Screams. Now your hosts with the ghosts, Jessica Morgan and Chris Carter.
Hello, everybody. We are back, and we have a special guest with us today, someone who is friend and family.
I think family to both of us now.
No, she's just my friend. She's not my friend. We have Jessica's sister, Lizzie Morgan. Welcome, Lizzie.
Hello. Thanks for having me.
Lizzie's an avid Halloween goer. For those who don't know, she played a huge part in creating some of the set pieces and the props for our film, Night of the Harvest, which if you haven't seen, watch it.
Go see it.
Buy it.
It's good.
Rent it. nightoftheharvest.com.
Lizzie says it's good.
Lizzie says it's good.
I'm the most important person to get your opinion from, so.
There you go.
It's true. She is that.
That self-proclaimed.
Self-proclaimed.
I can't help it.
But Lizzie's been great. She's been with us from a bunch of our films. She's acted for us. She's made set pieces. She's made props. But also, she loves to come out, and we love to have her out for Halloween spooky season.
Jeez.
And we're talking about something that Lizzie's never done. We tried to get
Tickets in the past.
Yeah.
And then we got rained out.
yeah, we're not going to say this title just yet. We're going to continue that trend of
Wow.
just tantalizing and
Oh.
teasing.
Because it's not in the title of the episode.
That's true, and on the cover art and the thumbnail. But you know what? Pretend. Let's
Just fast
pretend
forward
for a
30
moment.
seconds and you'll find
Yeah.
out.
And so, yeah, it was. I think we are big fans of this production, and we obviously talked it up to Lizzie and even Jessica's other sister, Katie. And the plan was to go one year, but it was rained out, and they didn't end up going. But long story short, fast forward a couple years later, this is the first year that Lizzie was able to accompany us to Delusion. Delusion. That's the one. That's the event we're going to be reviewing today, guys.
this year is called Red Castle.
Red
At their
Castle.
new location.
Which is incredible, but we'll get to that. Jon Braver, who I think is now, I think they said he's like head of creative operations for 13th Floor, which is a huge deal because traditionally I think he just came into that position, I think within the past 2 years.
Yeah.
So,
He's still writing and directing Delusion.
which I always worry about because it's such an immersive and story-driven event. You wonder if that the added kind of challenges he has to run the rest of 13th Floor, which is puts out quite an offering of events, not just in California, but around like the western half of the United States.
Right.
So-
That is a lot.
Yeah.
And Delusion seems alone like a big undertaking.
That itself, like, could be what you focus on all year.
Yeah.
For locations, for the story, especially for the acting and all that stuff. So anyway, let's get started. Again, we're not. This is a spoiler-free section part of it, and Jessica
Yes.
loves to talk about this. So
And then we'll
Take
get
it away.
into
we'll-
spoilers
we'll-
a little bit later.
We'll talk to our friend Arnold, and he'll ask you to stick around.
Yeah. So this was this was Red Castle. Like we said, this is a new location. It's the Stimson House. More in the heart of LA as opposed to out in Pomona like the past one, right?
Right. The past 3 years been in the Pomona Pomona area.
Yeah, and I think the story overall is talking about a psychologist, Dr. Frederick Lowell, and this is the place that it takes place in is like a crazy house, right?
I believe it's a psych ward. Lizzie, did you
Psych
pick that?
ward.
Did you pick that up? Because I think that
I don't know. 'Cause psych ward kind of sounds like short term, and this seemed very long term for the patients.
Gotcha.
Long-term care, and it definitely seems like he's doing some experiments and stuff. So there's this idea that this delusion always goes into like you are playing your part in the story. That's always they want to include you in this
Right.
story, and you are playing your part.
like
in it.
interactive theater, I think, was kind of the buzzword that he had used for some of his earlier shows.
Yeah, totally. And so you are some of the patients, and he has been doing these experiments and trying to get people to have more like psychic power kind of stuff going on. And yeah, I was gonna say he's basically, I think the main storyline is that he's lost his wife and he is trying to have you play your part in that, in like possibly bringing her back to life and trying to see if we can resurrect her in this tragedy.
Lizzie, is there anything that you noticed outside of what Jessica mentioned about the story, kind of on face value? Maybe picking it up through what you looked at before we got to the location or anything like that?
For many reasons, did not look at anything before.
Oh, you went
we
in blind.
I went in totally blind. I was
Nice.
like, I didn't know anything about the previous years, and I was like, now is not the time to just suddenly look it up and then try and maybe spoil something for me. So I went in totally blind.
That's a good point. Would you suggest that for people who have never been to Delusion before?
I think so.
Yeah?
I think most events I would suggest going in blind because then you don't really have any prior notions or hopes of how good it's going to be.
Yeah, and I think that's a great point because for people that have gone annually, like Jessica and I, it does kind of, and we'll get to this later, there is a level of expectations that comes along with anytime you go to a Delusion show or an immersive theater show. And I think that kind of affects the outcome no matter what.
Yeah,
Yeah.
agreed. Yeah, so I don't. Should we get into how we felt about this? How was?
When you say that, do you mean spoilery?
No, not
Okay.
yet.
All right.
We would like to
Looking
give
forward to
people
it.
ideas about it in case they are considering going, or just want to hear about it without spoilers. We always want to give a little bit of a review to
Okay.
kind of help with that.
Can I just real
Go
quick?
ahead.
The first thing we should say that it's expensive. So like understand that. I mean,
Yes.
what we're saying and whether it's like a suggestion or not, or wherever that goes and however you may feel about it, it is an expensive ticket. I think it's the most expensive ticket that we were going to do this entire Halloween season.
Yeah, I think you're right at that. Usually the immersive theater events do tend to be more because there's a lot of actors involved. You're not simply walking through like a haunted thing and just having people jump out. Like they are absolutely interacting with you and having you do things. So yeah, the tickets range from, I think they start at $109.99 and then they go up to like $170 or something like that. And that's for just general admission.
Right.
They have VIP packages and stuff like that. So no matter what, you can't go to this event for under $100.
Yeah.
So it is pricey for that because
that-
again, you're involved in it more is the idea.
Okay.
And the level of production. So location. Should we
Yeah.
talk a little bit about that? For one, new location.
New location.
Really cool. Like it literally looks like a giant red castle.
So for people, and we just got here, well, I say we just got here, but we've been here for about 7 years now. I've never heard of this place. Have you heard of it?
No.
Have you heard of it? Maybe Lizzie and before?
No.
No. So the first time we actually ever laid eyes on it was when the location was when they previewed it at Midsummer Scream.
Oh, pictures. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I should say. Pictures, right? And it looked fascinating,
Yes.
right? To me, it was incredible. But the facade of the outside, it's like, all right, well, this looks incredible to begin with, but then it doesn't. Words can't adequately explain, as they are not doing right now, what the inside and the scope of the Stinson house looks
Yeah.
like and exudes.
Yeah. In the past at the Pomona one, they would do like it was kind of more of like a broken down sort of house feel to it. And so this is like the opposite. This is like a nice looking place. It feels like a mansion. It feels large and huge. And yeah, I'm with you. It's really awesome. And then especially towards the end, you kind of end up in like the basement. And that was like a complete surprise to me. I was like, why? There's this giant, it feels like a bunker kind of thing, like just existing down there. So that was really impressive to me. I don't know, did the location help you at all, Liz?
I will say at certain times I kind of forgot that I was in a real house and that it wasn't just like a set up stage for this.
Right.
It was just like perfect, very Victorian, very beautiful.
Yeah.
And then you'd be like, oh, wait, this is an actual place and this is just a storyline going on at this place kind of thing.
Yeah, very cool.
You have to Google the Stimson house, Stimson, because apparently at some point in time, it belonged to a banking billionaire or millionaire at the time, billionaire now. At one time, it was home to a frat house. Imagine that. Oh my! I get excited just thinking about it.
You're
But-
like, I would have joined that fraternity.
yeah, sign me up. But yeah, the history of the house itself is.
Did you say convent too at some point?
So I guess as I reread it, it worried the nuns who were part of a convent because of the loud frat parties that were being held at,
Oh, how
which
funny.
makes it even cooler. Like that just makes it even more awesome that you're upsetting nuns.
Yeah.
They're partying too loud. The boys, they're making too much. I mean, I can't wait. I mean,
Chris wants to be part of that crowd.
Yeah, unfortunately, I absolutely do. But yeah.
And then I would say like so this year was really cool in the sense that there was a lot of room to move around in this place too, and a lot of different rooms, and they definitely utilized that, and they split up people a lot more than they had in the past in my experience. So there was a lot more times they grabbed somebody to do something. Like they always would do that, and that's always been a really fun thing, but it felt like it was so much more common to be grabbed to go do something, or they even split us up at one point, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so that was kind of really cool that I enjoyed that, like the playing your part felt more like playing your part.
Well, that being said, you got to play your part. I didn't.
That's true. But you also, they had us do things like with our magic, right? Like our like powers where we had to like influence things. I feel like that was like brand new from anything that I think they'd done in the past, where it was like, you're actively the one doing this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I know I can't go into it, but
spoiler?
no, no, I don't think so. But yeah, there were things they were asking you to do that you were like, boom,
Yeah.
I can do this with my magic.
And a part of the, I mean, I'm just going to talk about the house a lot as we go through this because it's its own character in my opinion. That was such a compelling part of this story. It was, again, I think it was 3 stories tall. Each story had maybe 5 bedrooms. It felt massive.
It felt massive.
That steep staircases, tall, huge ceilings. So anyway, as we're going through the story and you see these things, it really piques your interest. And like, are we going to go in there? Is that going to be part of the story? But really, it kind of blends into this the atmosphere and the environment that, as this story is layered in and goes through, you really feel like you're looking at something maybe you shouldn't be, or you're somewhere where you're not supposed to be.
Yeah.
There's that feeling of voyeurism, I think. So for me, that's always interesting in Delusion's offerings and what Braver creates. You know,
usually when I go into a place like that, I'm kind of sad that I don't get to see more of it. But
Yes.
it kind of added to the atmosphere of like, what's going on behind that closed door?
Yeah.
Like a character goes in there and you're like, I know something bad is happening, but what is happening? And then, you find out later on, but it kept things to the imagination too, which can kind of help sometimes.
Totally.
a lot of times, as you're saying that too, Lizzie, as we're walking through, we may not have ventured into one of these rooms, but a light would be on and there would be fog in there.
Yeah.
So it's like the illusion that you could go in here, but something might come out or something's going on there. So there, for me, that happened a lot because a lot of these doors, they weren't really closed as we kind of walked through, right? There were.
Yeah, you could peek into other rooms and there'd be like weird feelings.
I saw Chris constantly staying at the back of the group and just peeking into other rooms.
Yeah, it's true. I'm like, it's something that can come out here, but also the appreciation of the set design and like the filmmaker and me is like, man, that just looks really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was really cool.
I'd be like, Chris, the group's about to move on.
Right,
we
we're
gotta
moving on.
go.
We're leaving
I
you.
know. I was always like, there's a story going on. I gotta listen to the story.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was cool.
How did you guys feel about? So we're obviously stop me if I'm getting too spoilery, but as far as kind of the way that they used the characters this year as opposed to last year, and for you for the first time you've seen them, were they convincing? Is this spoilery? Are we getting?
No, if we're talking about the acting overall kind of a thing,
Maybe
right?
let's hit that. Let me ask Lizzie first. How did you first go about the acting and kind of seeing an event like this for the first time?
I'm trying to think if there was anyone that, sometimes someone acts and it just feels unnatural, but I think everyone was really pretty good. Even though there were parts you're like, this is scripted, they pulled it off really well in their acting. There were some amazing moments that I'll maybe mention later. But yeah, I was like, I can think of several moments where I'm just like, oh, that girl, that guy, they did a great job kind of thing.
Cool.
So nothing was very stilted and unnatural, really.
Yeah.
That's nice.
I actually thought that this probably had some of the better acting out of all the years too for me. In the past, there was kind of favorites I would have where I'd be like, this character, this person did really good, but some of the other ones I was like, oh, they did okay. This was one of the years where I wasn't thinking about it, which to me means like, that it was pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Overall.
For me, it was. I think the first year we went is probably my favorite year as an ensemble cast. Whoa.
I know. I'm
excited about
sorry.
that. No, it's
I was
okay.
there.
The ghosts are anxious right now. Yeah, I think for the most part it was okay too. I felt like there were less actors this year, but maybe the vignettes were a little bit shorter. I think we didn't have as much time with a singular individual, because I think that in the past we kind of had a guide taking us through certain moments. And again, I might be wrong because we've done at this point, this is our fourth.
I think this is the 4th year.
Yeah, this is the fourth we've done Delusion. So, but yeah, I think
I think
that,
last year we had a lot of little tiny parts too.
and I worry. Yeah, I think the year that Lizzie actually missed was a year that I felt that we had the longest person kind of guiding us through the
Sure.
Delusion went back in reverse.
Yeah.
That year. But you're right, because last year was a bunch of vignettes. I think it was Nocturnes and Nightmares, and it was just like
Yeah.
pages of previous stories. So that's definitely true. But all in all, I think the acting was pretty good. The actors are always very good. Again, the set piece, and as an actress or an actor, Jessica, that I think that, and I don't, because I'm not an actor, that if you have a really effective set piece, it just kind of, you can lean into that in your performance. You can use it. It can motivate, help you kind of get your point across and your vibe across you want for the audience.
Sure. Sure.
know?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm ready to run the spoiler flag up because I'm ready to talk about gags. I want to talk about the location again, about how they interacted with some of the scares we got into. Is
Yeah.
there anything you want to talk to before we run the spoiler flag up?
Did you guys seem to get the story overall?
No.
There was one section where I was like, oh, that could have definitely. I felt like one part of the story kind of jumped too fast to the next part, and that there was there could be some explaining
Totally.
in between the two things.
When we were in the mansion?
Yeah, I think we have to go into.
Yeah, we'll have to go
story.
into it, but I will say that too. It's I thought I had the story, and then there were times we would kind of jut out, and I was a little thrown by it. Like there would be moments that I was like, "This is interesting," but I don't actually know what this has to do with the story, and it would kind of throw me because of it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that for me was a little bit of a letdown. And then the last thing I'll say before spoilers, that I was a little bit let down by, I think, the effects overall. I'm really used to Delusion bringing effects, special effects, and creating monsters. And I felt a little let down by this from previous years, but again, that might be my experience from the past, being that's what's hurting it. You know what I mean? I
Yeah.
just know certain things that I look forward to weren't necessarily there for this year.
Honestly, some of the biggest scares that we've had, me personally, on our spooky seasons in the past, have come from Delusion creatures.
Yeah.
And just it's something out of a nightmare. And
Totally.
That wasn't. That
And I
definitely
don't-
I
wasn't.
don't think
Yeah.
there was a single creature.
There wasn't.
This was kind of, there was still supernatural elements to the story, but it felt pretty grounded otherwise.
Yeah.
It didn't, I don't think we had monsters.
And part of that too is I don't necessarily know if they do, in my opinion, grounded to the level it was now well. And that's not a knock against John
Right.
or anything in the story, but in the past, it's always been a supernatural, and there was some supernatural.
Sure, because we had powers and stuff.
Yeah, but there was nothing to really kind of be afraid of, in my opinion,
Yeah.
and on an otherworldly level. And I think that you're looking for that again. Talking about the cost, it's expensive.
Yeah.
It's an expensive ticket, so you're looking to experience something different. And while Delusion does offer that in the past, kind of again, of our expectations and going before, I've kind of, I don't know, I don't want to say soured, but definitely set the bar pretty high in terms of what you're getting. But if you've never gone like Lizzie, we got a cheaper ticket, and when I say cheaper, it was $100 because we went to a 10 p.m. showing in the very first quarter of their run.
Yeah.
If you go in middle of October, there will not be a ticket that cheap.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
when I pay that much money, I'm expecting something. I don't want to say mind blowing, but in the past,
But yeah, you kind of need a
Yeah.
moment that's oh, wow, this was going to stick with me.
Yeah.
I agree with that. And I do think maybe they leaned more into the idea of human people being the bad things that we should be afraid of, being a sort of thing.
Yeah.
It felt a little bit like that. And it was very, I think, trying to lean on psychology as far as what was wrong with people I don't know. It just,
I
it
think
didn't.
the only problem with that is they didn't really stick with one bad person.
Yes.
Right. Yeah. So
Yes.
it didn't feel successful to me. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? It was just these
It's oh, this person's dangerous. Oh, they're gone now.
yeah.
Oh, this person's oh, they're taken care of.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
Great
And so
point.
it didn't really keep the hype up of, oh, I need to be scared and be getting away from this person. Or
Yeah.
I need to be doing something to
Right.
this person.
I agree with that too.
And it happened off screen a lot.
Yeah, there was a lot of that. And it's like, and I think I'm with you where I want to see at least part of it. You know, like as much as imagination is good, in the past, to me, I feel like they've always shown us enough that then it fills in the rest, but we get to see part of it, you know?
Yeah. I mean, we saw someone get hung. Like there was one,
In
I
the
mean, it wasn't a
past, yeah.
person, but it was a gag where 1 second you're there, they misdirected, then the next second they're being hung, dropped from a ceiling.
Yeah.
So yeah, that level. I'm gonna say this too, since we are talking about kind of without spoiling it, what we didn't like. I didn't necessarily care for the story. You brought it up earlier, and then Lizzie, you kind of reinforced that thought. Where I don't really remember many people in this story. I think I remember maybe 2 offhand, but I couldn't tell you who they were in terms of the story as a whole. And I don't know if that was me kind of getting lost in the sauce of like, this is a great location, or I'm looking for this. But
You were just looking in all the rooms.
but I was, but I mean, it's funny enough. I feel like a good story, even if you are doing that, because here's the thing. Everybody's going to be looking in these rooms.
Sure.
Right? So that's not just me. Everybody that goes there is going to kind of be in awe of this location. That doesn't excuse you from not at least putting these people in position to follow the story that you're trying to tell and also sell.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Otherwise, do a creepy tour through the Stimson house, charge $25 and be done with it. You're there to tell a story, a memorable story.
Yeah.
I can barely remember 3 people that I saw in this story. So
I remember people, but I just remember being confused at what our goal was.
I remember the people
Yeah,
too, but
like
like what was their
storyline.
position in the goal? Or I remember what was their position in the story?
Yeah.
And I'm with you, because I think in the past years they usually have there's like one main thread of the story we're following. And yes, just like any story, there will be little off sections that kind of pull you here or there before you get back on the main track sort of thing, almost like side missions. But it's like you always do have a main goal of like, I have to get back to this. And this one, it took a while for us to even get to knowing like what that main goal was. You know what I mean? Like you were like, where is this leading to? And eventually we did find it out, but it just like, it did take a while to get to. So it felt like just searching a lot.
Yeah.
So I'm with you on that. I still want to say I really had a good time.
Oh
Like,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to shit on it.
they still were, you know what I mean? Like I still enjoyed it. I still, like I said, I think they did some great things with pulling more people into it. And like, I hadn't been a part of one where they actually split up the group like in 2, like they did for this one for a bit. There was those moments, and they still had some really cool visual stuff, and it really still felt immersive because of the location. But I think story wise, there was some lacking, and for me, some like effects or like scary stuff was kind of lacking for me.
Yeah.
So that's all.
Yeah.
I try to keep an open mind too, because I'm like, how much am I missing in the excitement of the scare? How much of the story is just passing into
Because
one ear
you're
and out
like-
the other? Yeah.
Hyped. Yeah.
I'm like, I'm ready to go kind of thing. So I try to think that. I wish overall they had been able to make it a little longer. And
Yeah.
a little more fleshed out.
It did feel short too. It was
Yeah.
weird.
And it
though
wasn't short.
We
We
timed,
timed
it.
it.
Yeah, it was like 50 to 55 minutes or something for ours. And but it felt like 30.
Yeah.
So, which is sometimes a good thing, but also it didn't feel like a good thing on this one.
Right.
Yeah.
So, anywho, do you want to throw up some
Oh,
spoilers?
here we go. Our friend Arnold is going to ask you to stick around. Jessica actually already played the spoiler flag, so we're coming into it. We're coming halfway into it, guys.
I didn't understand that if you push these buttons early.
That they do not reset. Hang on, I got Arnold back. Hold on.
Stick around.
Let's see with the giggles.
Thank you.
It's
I
purge
can't
time.
help it.
Yeah,
You know, this is our purge.
this is our purge.
Oh God. What does
Yes.
that mean for me?
We're still
Stick,
here.
stick around.
All right, so that's our spoiler siren, guys. So at this point, anytime we're going to be talking about things that may ruin the story or may ruin some of the gags. So anyway, you've been warned.
You want to go into it?
I mean, I want to talk about, not till later, but I definitely want to talk about the location as opposed to like kind of a dangerous location.
We probably could have done this in spoil free.
But I don't want to dissuade people from it because I think
Yeah,
you know
that's
what I mean.
true.
Like
Yeah.
if you're gonna go, and then you'll have to figure it out. Like, hey, just be safe.
Hey, you get
'Cause
hurt,
Yeah.
figure it out.
Here's the thing too. We love talking about the probably the best immersive experience we all did was the Intruder Escape, whatever the Buchanan's was called, that place was not safe.
Cult.
Like cult.
Yeah.
Like at one point we had to gather syringes in a shed that was filled with actual spider webs and spiders. Like it wasn't clean.
That's a Chris problem.
Yeah, I was all like,
It's also a fucking
didn't
insurance
stick with
problem if someone gets stung and they have to go to the hospital.
That being said,
Like-
they told us all not to run, and we were running like crazy.
But that's just that. Like they had steep spiral staircases. With slick floors, they weren't carpeted. So there was a safety concern on some of the things we've all done. So while I don't think
and
that
I think Delusion kind of has always had that issue.
I'm not talking about Delusion. I'm talking
Oh.
about Intruder Escape.
Oh.
I'm only bringing it up because I think someone had mentioned saying that the safety is kind of. You just kind of have to be aware of it as you go into these things.
Totally.
I will get into Delusion's kind of safety concerns that I had later on. But
Okay.
but as far as going into the spoilery part of it, I didn't like. I mentioned before the story to me is a big miss. I can't remember the main bad guy's name. I think it was Charles.
Wait, I thought the main guy. See that? I think that's my question, because I feel like the main bad guy was the doctor.
Oh.
Like that was the whole point of it, is that like he's his own enemy in that sense, because you know what I mean. He's doing the experiments on everyone, including ourselves, so that are playing the part.
And then the inmates are just kind of running amok because of that, and therefore
Yeah.
like mini enemies, like mini bosses.
Yeah, that's the kind of thing, is that it's like, because he's not technically treating people, he's doing unorthodox kind of stuff. We now have, there's these characters that have been created, sort of.
But there are some characters that were apparently high up in the hospital and then
Yeah.
turned bad. And I'm like, are they the bad person now?
And we definitely had that. And don't get me wrong, I think in the past they have those moments where you would walk in and you're like, here's kind of a bad dude that we have to deal with really quickly. He's not necessarily a main part of the story, but it's like kind of a byproduct of it.
Yeah.
And I felt like that's kind of what they were going for here. But again, because we didn't have our main idea of what was happening. And so maybe that's what we need to do, is just kind of set up where we started with this story, because it's like, I think that was the problem. Like I can think of past years where it's, they kind of are telling you like, here's this, you have to go, like there's someone's collecting these souls, I think was the first year, right? And they're trapping these souls. So you need to release them by bringing this specific item into these different souls to release them. So you had a goal, and throughout you'd encounter these different souls and stuff, and things would happen, and some were bad and good. And you know what I mean? Like it was a goal. And it's like this one, when we first we show up, right? We're like in a garden. So there's a little bit of an outside area. And immediately it gets kind of established that we're patients. Like we had to like close our eyes, and it's telling us a story about how we're patients. And then like a groundskeeper shows up and is like, can't believe you guys are out of bed at this time of night. You know the rules. Now I'm going to make you all work. And we start working. But it's like that kind of started. And you're like, so what's the point of this? You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And then we encounter one of the other patients, right? And she was pretty funny and making a lot of jokes and stuff. And she kind of establishes for us that we do have powers. We have amnesia, by the way, which I actually thought was pretty good storytelling, just because it's a good device to use because of us showing up being like, what the heck is this
going
story?
on? Yeah.
And everybody knows us, but we don't know them. And they were like, well, yeah, it's a byproduct of you having these powers, is you have amnesia. And it's like, oh, great.
Was it the powers that give them amnesia, or all of the experiments that were done on them by the doctor?
Right. The experiments to unlock the powers is kind of the idea. Like he was all about unlocking your inside, whatever, deepest part of you kind of a thing, I think.
Gotcha.
Inner eye.
Yeah. So it's like we were his favorite patients. That came up a couple of times, right? Because of the fact that he was able to unlock these powers in us. And so I think it was kind of the same. He possibly was trying to unlock things in other people, and they ended up in weird places because of it. Again, not really getting treatment, probably. And we get to use our powers on someone. We get our first effect, right? So we get to she asks us to send the groundskeeper away because we're getting in trouble. And she tells us that we can just push him away, and we get to see him kind of fly off his feet away from us because we've decided to push him away on the count of 3 or whatever. But this effect for me, I'd seen them do one similar last year, and it didn't quite work. And I asked Lizzie about this, right? Because I was like, this is your first time at Delusion. Like, how did you think that effect worked?
I was distracted because I could see the rope and
You
the
could
rigging
see-
in the background.
You could see the rope and the pulley in the background, which is a huge miss. I feel like we've never had that. But I'm with you. I had the same moment. Like I was kind of behind the crowd, so and we were pretty far away from the dude.
it happened. We were definitely far away from the guy.
We were so far away. Like like at least 20 feet. It felt like, I don't know, maybe it was somewhere in there. And I was just like, what the heck? And so it didn't seem as effective because of that. And then, they had the lights, like we're backlighting basically the rigging, like the rope set of whoever grabbed it and pulled it, kind of a thing. You didn't see them, but you did see the ropes.
That's where I saw it. The backlighting is what gave it away from me.
Yeah. And it like lit up. Like I was like, this is like a white rope they're using and it's bright. And
I was actually distracted from him flying back by the movement.
You were like,
left.
what is
I was
that?
like, wait, what's going on back there?
Oh, you saw the people pulling him?
I'm not sure if I saw a person. I saw a big something move, and then I could see this string, and
The rope,
it looked almost like it had like a bag of sand or something on it. So I was like, I couldn't tell what was going on. But it was just
Interesting.
like, something's going on over there, and I was like, oh, that was the background.
Well,
Interesting.
yep. So there was that moment.
So the first big gag kind of falls flat for everybody in our group. Which,
we all
Yeah.
individually felt this way. And we were grouped up with everybody in this area. So I feel like at least half of them probably saw it too.
Yeah.
So, and no one had a really big reaction like I feel like I've seen in the past when these things happen. So that was kind of unfortunate right away. Then we're trying to run away from the dude and escape, and we get inside, right?
Yeah.
And so there is a little bit of that where she had the amulet from the wife. We were at her grave, right?
Yeah, we had her. She had her ashes. I think that was
The amulet
Yeah.
contained her ashes,
and it was a big like heart shape.
which is interesting that there was a grave and ashes.
I didn't put that together, but that's true. That's an
I
excellent
was just
point.
thinking, I was like, well, where the story goes, you're like, maybe he purposely did that.
Right, Dr. Lowell. Mrs. Lowell or whatever is gone, dead.
And he
has
was
the
trying to
ashes.
bring her back, right? Like
She had been gone for a few years, wasn't it? Like 4 years?
again, see, this is the story
Yes.
I was talking about. Like,
I think so. I think it was years, and I think again the idea was that we were getting developed to have these powers to help bring her back. But and so you know what I mean. He didn't start doing this much experimenting until possibly. Maybe I'm wrong on that. I think he was already
don't know.
experimenting before, but still it's
right? Like it gets a little muddy.
It gets
Because
muddy.
when John had talked about in Midsummer Scream was that he was trying to resurrect his dead wife, and whether she wanted to be resurrected or not was kind of what we were going to see. Which I was excited for the premise of that because that might be something I'm writing. So like for me, I'm like that would be a super interesting concept to try and bring somebody back who you loved from the dead, and they may not want to come back. And that's exactly what he said in Midsummer. That was not at all what, at least in my mind, what we got when we went to the show. It felt like we
Right.
were just kind of in a mishmash of failed experiments and experiments that had like side effects, and we were kind of in that little world of what happened. So, and not to say that he was locked in for sure what he had said in Midsummer, right? But that was the big selling point. People were there. That was a full house to watch a 13th floor kind of.
And again, we're in the spoiler area, right? Like that is basically the ending. Like he basically then just told us, like, you know what I mean? Like at the ending, that's what we get to see is that she's like,
Is that what happened?
I mean, that's when she's in the, like, you know what I mean? Like when you
Yeah.
guys burst in.
And she was saying, I'm not coming back. Something else is happening.
Yeah,
kind of
she was
thing.
basically saying, you shouldn't have done this and this kind of a thing.
See, I didn't hear any of that. So I got something very different because we split up. But continue because that's
Well, that
part.
happened when all of us were in the room.
I know, but like our mission wasn't that. Our mission was to get dynamite and blow it up.
Yeah.
So we were kind of
But
that part of it was.
It was very disconnected for me. Because,
Yeah.
like, at the very beginning, we're looking for Dr. Lowell. It
Yeah.
seems like he's a good person. And
Right.
then it goes to this, and you're like, wait, is that guy bad? Or is the guy who
Totally.
is taking us around bad? Like, who is the good person? Who's the bad person?
So,
we're not
yeah.
getting the whole story kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then the moment we meet Dr. Lowell, we get to decide, do we go with him and help him?
It was so quick.
Or do we stay with his daughter?
Yeah.
Who is for some reason trying to stop, but we don't know at that point.
Yeah.
Until you go with her and she says, "Oh yeah, he's trying to bring my mom back, and we can't let that happen," kind of thing. And at the same time, I'm like, wait, what's gonna happen bad if he does? Like, what
Yeah.
are the consequences? Nothing is laid out.
It's true. It
Easily.
wasn't. Yeah, it wasn't established enough. I'm kind of with you on that. Like it got too convoluted. Yeah, I mean, so the next time we're in a room, we meet a dude who ends up being the assistant to Dr. Lowell, I believe, right?
Yeah.
And he of course wants to get the amulet from the patient and stuff, and he kind of knows like don't be messing with this sort of thing or whatever. Aside from that, I don't really know. He was like,
What was his purpose?
Yeah, it was like he led us into another room, and I can't remember why that was.
He was trying to find. See, it was a lot of I'm trying to find this person so we can find this person so we can find this person to find out where this person is.
Right.
Kind of thing. And so I was like, this guy, I was like, I don't know if he's good. I don't know if he's bad. In the next scene, it's very much suggested that he slept with Dr. Lowell's wife at one point.
Yeah.
Like, so
he definitely was in love with
the
her.
assistant.
The
That's
assistant,
right.
yeah.
That's because of the play that happened, right?
Which I'm now thinking back, some of the funniest moments were my favorite moments instead of some of the scariest
I
moments.
would
Yeah,
say
the
that
play,
too.
right?
Yeah.
The play was funny.
I don't think we've ever had like this many funny moments in a Delusion, and this this had some funny moments
Yeah.
for sure. I was very confused I was excited, but very confused when we got into the room that he leads us into, which was like the dining room area.
Yeah.
And then this other patient, I don't know.
Question mark? 'Cause
I
it wasn't
actually
clear.
didn't get who he was.
Yeah. I think it was a patient.
It wasn't. You mean the guy who came in at the end with the needle?
No, the guy who was sitting
Well, he
at
has
the
a
table giving
gun.
the
Oh,
DJ.
he was a patient.
He shows up and he's got a gun, and he's all like, "Hey, I have a gun."
Yeah.
And there's an exchange going on there that's very tense, and like he wants to play games, and the assistant's like, yeah, let's just play along with him for a bit, which again I thought was kind of fun. I was like, okay, we're doing like this whole musical chairs, and the people who didn't end up in the chairs ended up having to go with someone else.
Well, it was
Yeah.
actually musical chairs. Like it wasn't. So one of the games that he had his play was like,
Yeah.
let's play musical chairs. Everybody got up.
Everyone got up
walked
and did
around.
it.
Yeah, this guy sitting at the head of a table with a gun.
Yeah.
You know,
So it was like interactive again. And these are the moments that I was like, I think it's cool that we got to do more than just watch. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the lady that was also a patient who was working with the guy with the gun, I think. Like they were friends.
They
Oh.
sure seemed like
They
were
were
friends.
friends.
Yeah, oh yeah, that's right. That's right. There was a fun reveal there. I forgot about that. She came from under the table after we were playing musical chairs.
Yeah, if anybody's seen Swordfish, first of all, I'm sorry they've seen Swordfish, but there's a part like just like this in Swordfish where
It
Hugh
is that
Jackman's getting the BJ and he's like having to crack this code. And so this chick's been under the table like for a while, right? We
Yeah.
were there for a minute.
Yeah.
And she just pops out and this
Yeah.
guy, so-
Totally. I felt bad too because then that actor, the guy, like after, there's like a moment where two conversations are kind of going on. And I was like very much in the middle of like, I don't know who to listen
Yeah,
to.
yeah.
But Lizzie, you were closer to the one dude.
It was actually hard to listen to the main guy
Yeah.
because this actor was going to this girl and being like, when I say blah, 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 you're going to blah, 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 kind of thing. And I was like, oh. And honestly, if I hadn't heard that, I don't think I would have understood how we had gotten out of that room.
Yeah, I still understood it, but it took me a moment because I was like, what just happened to him? And then I looked over and I think he said something like, good job to you or whatever to the girl that did
next to
it.
me,
And then I
yeah.
was like, oh, okay, so that's what he was saying because
Yeah.
I saw him whispering to her, but I had no idea what he was
Yeah,
saying.
he was basically saying like, when I say now, do this and this. And I tried to block it out. And so at the end, she used her powers to get the gun.
It was cool.
And-
I
Again.
missed that completely.
yeah. If
So
I
again, we're
had not
playing in
heard
bigger
him,
parts.
then yeah.
So that was again kind of cool. The other guy at the end with the gun, he was soliciting another woman to go to go under the table. So you really weren't
Yeah,
missing
yeah.
anything. I kept being like, "That's uncomfortable."
Oh, he was, huh? That's
Yeah.
right. Like, you want to play my
Yeah.
game? You want to play?
Yeah, so I mean, there were some
Yeah,
lines
that's
there
right.
where I was like, "This guy is clearly we don't like him." The guy with the gun, like he's clearly
But
not.
he's fun.
He's and I was so intrigued at first when this gun came out and we were just sitting there and then we had to play along with him.
Yeah.
This is when I started getting excited for the story. Like I was like, where is this gonna lead? This is so interesting.
Yeah.
And then it kind of went away really quickly and I didn't quite understand.
Is this where you got pulled up though? You got pulled up on this part.
This is so right after
Right after we left. That
yeah,
room.
right after the gun comes towards the assistant, an assistant decides to go ahead and shoot the patient.
Nicholas, I think.
Yeah, that's right.
That happens. So again, wild story here. I'm like, whoa, okay, here we go. Then he's like, we have to go in to go talk to the female patient that we had seen leave with the people who didn't make it in the chairs, by the way, for the musical chair thing. The people who didn't survive that or whatever, didn't get out. She took them to go play a part somewhere else. So again, really cool things there. So he's like, we have to, when you go in there, tell her, he's like, I have to go upstairs and do this thing. I don't remember what he had to go do. But he did tell us it was pretty dangerous and stuff. And so he was like, you guys go with her. And he did tell us to say the reverse. Like, I can't remember their names. Like you said, I think it was Nicholas and Charles. I think it actually is those two. And whichever way it is, like if...
He wanted to say Nicholas shot Charles when it was
Yes.
actually Charles shot Nicholas. And I would have accidentally said
The
Charles
reverse.
shot Nicholas because when the girl said it in the front row, I was like, you got the names mixed up.
I know, you're like, that's not what happened.
I was like...
He said to lie. He reversed it. So instead of him shooting, Nicholas...
Yeah.
It was like he was trying to say that the reason Charles isn't here, who was leading us around, is because Nicholas had shot him. So we go in there, and sure enough, she asks, and luckily one person in the audience had it right and tells us. And she was, very nonchalant about it. Like, he's always shooting people at the wrong times and stuff
I
like
wanted
that.
him to watch my play.
Yeah, I wanted to show Charles this. So she's created a play, and one of the characters is one of the guys who got taken away, and the other character or the other guy is playing the piano for the show, which was actually pretty funny. She was like, play sad or play happy. And it was like the same note, I think. It was really funny. And then there was like a script they were both reading from to do their parts, and clearly this guy had been briefed while he was gone about what his movements were.
Yeah.
And it was hilarious to
It
watch.
was hilarious.
Yeah, we were all laughing.
That was probably the most memorable thing for me of the whole show. It was funny. I was engaged. I think it was, I don't know, the fact that the audience was so involved and the way that these two dudes were playing it like so straight.
Yeah.
It was full on
Yeah.
comedy. It was comedy.
Yeah.
It was funny. And
Honestly, I think those first like 3 things were my favorite. The girl in the graveyard,
oh yeah, she was really
the
funny.
table dinner shootout,
Yeah.
and the play. Those were
Interesting.
just... It was just like, it was still a really fun time.
I'm with you. I was really hyped
And-
still at this point.
Yeah.
Like I'm with you. I was like in it. I was like,
I was like, all the actors and actresses were really good.
Yeah.
It was still flowing. I still didn't quite understand why we were looking for Dr. Lowell, but I knew that his assistant was looking for him.
Yes, exactly. And then and the play is funny too. It's about the assistant, Charles, and how he is in love with the wife, and they literally have like a dead corpse on the stage, which is
Yeah.
pretty funny and disturbing. And so, she tells us this is exactly what she witnessed. This play is real. It's everything I've seen or whatever. And it's about when Lowell and the assistant found the wife dead. And then, like when Lowell took off, and I think maybe this is where she establishes that he wanted to bring her back or
You
something.
know what? He probably did say like, "Oh, I'm gonna bring you back," kind of thing.
Yeah, he did. And then but the assistant stays and almost kisses.
I always loved you better than
Yeah.
he did.
You'll never love you as much as I did, or something like that. Yeah, it's very great, very beautiful.
Yeah.
And then there's a loud noise outside, and she's upset that something interrupted her play. This is where I got to play my part. She sent me out to go to see what was disrupting the noise and tell them to be shush and be quiet. And it was creepy. I like walked out there and like turned, and he's like in the shadows, like against the wall, but in the shadows, like backlit. And then he's like at me, and I was like, ah! And it's Nicholas back from being shot is still okay-ish, and
Or
has
Charles back from...
nope. I think it's
I'm just so confused.
it is. Yes, this is correct. I'm going to stick with these names now. Charles is the assistant. Nicholas was the patient. Nicholas has a syringe and puts it up to my neck, and then he tells me to ask you guys questions about where Charles went. Right?
Yes. I'm remembering this better now.
As we start talking through it, right? Yeah. So, trying to find him basically is kind of the idea. And asking. There was another question I forgot.
I know you said something like you all are dead or something.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The dead don't come back the same. So that was really intriguing too. Like you said, I've seen the dead come back and they don't come back the same.
That's almost your quote for your bio on the website.
Right? I know.
Which is kind of funny. 'cause
Sometimes dead
wasn't
is
he-
better.
Sometimes that is
Wasn't
better.
he just shot, so he came back kind of?
Maybe he
Wait.
wasn't killed though.
I know.
He wasn't killed.
It
but
was so quick. I didn't get to see if he was, had a wound or anything.
Yeah.
honestly, it shocked me that he was back because I was like, oh, I thought you were just been killed.
100%. That's why it was frightening for me too. And then, he's kind of saying that he's seen the dead come back and they don't come back the same. And then, luckily, before I get injected or he decides to kill us all or whatever is happening there, someone else pops up and hits him from behind.
with an
This is
axe.
Charles,
the
wasn't
freaking axe. No, this is a new character.
I'm just so confused.
It was
Too many
it was the
characters.
orderly that took us up the stairs. It
Yeah.
was, with the ones that watch out for.
This is the
for
one that
Mama.
was ducking down, and
Yeah, it was that orderly.
So an orderly comes,
Yeah.
knocks him out with an axe.
But
which
hold
also
on,
was
let's go
terrifying.
back. Yeah, let's go back to the second one. So we were in the crowd, Lizzie and I, watching Jessica be, held up at syringe point, and then we see the guy come from the shadows in the faux, axe to the back. The look on Jessica's face was sheer terror. Like that, this was
was
a moment where
scary.
you legitimately got scared in this one. Like, oh shit, Jessica got on this one. So I think that's always fun too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That moment of being legitimately scared.
It was scary. I was being held up. I couldn't see anything. He had a jerking kind of moment where he sort of turned me a little bit towards the guy when he's about to get hit.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, and so it's like, so then it's a jump scare. He was right up close, swinging an axe down. Of course, I was freaking scared.
Don't feel like that you need to defend yourself, Jessica. I'm on your side.
Thank you.
It was good. It was great. I honestly, to be scared in a Delusion event is a big deal.
It's a big deal.
It's a big deal. Yeah. So
Yeah, orderly grabs us now.
orderly grabs us, takes us up the stairs. And so this is the first part where I thought, man, this is a little dangerous. So this location has massive. It's like 3 stories, and I don't know about you guys, but for me, the staircases were very steep.
Yeah, because they're old. It's clearly like an old building, and it's like, and yeah, these ones were carpeted. But I remember I was really happy for the glow tape because it was dark, and I was like, I would have missed these steps. Like they weren't
100%.
traditional size steps.
Yeah.
So it's like I remember being like, I'm like fully watching the ground for all these glow tape steps.
Yeah. So in addition to that, they had we should say it's lit very creepily. And they had candles kind of for key lighting instance, but the glow tape, that's what you had mentioned. Like that is the way to see where you're stepping. Outside of that, they had a lot of haze, which is beautiful, but there was not a lot of light like at all. So
Yeah.
it was a little dangerous in that aspect. That was my first kind of,
Speaking as someone who fell down the stairs twice during
Yeah.
Delusion,
Lizzie does have a couple moments.
yeah.
I think it was. I'm gonna blame acting stuff. I don't do stage direction. I don't know where the tape is usually to light up only stairs. And the fact that I thought the last tape was on the floor really screwed me over.
Well, and honestly,
Right.
you were talking about what happened to you was actually much more dangerous because I'm talking about when we were going up. Had you fallen going up, it wasn't a big deal. You
No.
fell coming down.
Yeah.
That's much more dangerous.
Yeah, way more bad.
Yeah, way more bad is the word.
Way more, way bad.
Whoa.
Whoa, bad.
And I will say I was not the only one in our group to get hurt by a step.
Yeah, this happened. So we'll get to that.
Yeah. But anyway, I just wanted to say that this is where I'm like, wow, this location is really adding something for me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because there's an actual element of danger within the story.
So it added, the danger was good for you.
At this point, I was excited for it because I like a little danger. It did seem to wear on me a little bit.
I did, yeah. Once we got towards the top of the steps, it was kind of fun because he was trying to peek around the corner. And they always do really good with their lighting in general. Like, again, like
Very cinematic,
Their
right?
effects stuff is generally really good. And they had it so you could see the shadows of things. So we could see the shadow of somebody coming in a wheelchair. You know what I mean? Before we actually see the wheelchair. And so he's able to duck down and tell us to be quiet. And we're avoiding Mama was her name. But an older lady that's in a wheelchair. And, so we eventually have to try to sneak past when she's like not there. Like it was funny because she came, we literally start to go around the corner and then she comes out while we're around the corner, which was pretty startling for,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? That was a
Yeah.
moment of like, oh gosh, run and hide back down the stairs a little bit. And then she somehow takes off and it's just her wheelchair sitting there, which was also creepy. So they do
especially when they told us to keep an eye on the ceiling for her.
that was so,
Oh,
yeah.
that's right. That didn't pay
100%,
off either.
yeah.
Damn.
He
that's,
did.
That's right.
He was very much like, let's keep an eye out, keep your eyes on the ceiling. And we were like, what? Like, where is she crawls on the ceiling? What is happening? Terrifying. So that was, I will say that, like, they do set up those, like, creepy moments like that, right? These creepy visuals and these creepy moments. We sneak into her room, right? It's her room, and we're looking for a vial of pills. that I think are the pills that are supposed to be the things that enhance us, I think. But also some people said they were like pain pills.
Yeah.
They're pain pills, but if you took too many, it could kill you.
Yeah, that was
That's
kind
what
of
I got from
the
it.
understanding of it.
Yeah.
And so we're looking for those because Mama always has them. And so they ask us to look around, which again was fun, right? Like all of us are looking in closets and stuff.
Yeah.
And so what happened with you two during this?
So we just happened to be near one of the doors, and
the closets.
yeah, the closet. So we're in this bedroom at this point, large bedroom, lots of doors. And so I am always looking for reasons to kind of insert myself into these situations. I just think it's way more fun. So as soon as they said that, look for these, before they were done, I was opening doors. I'm like, give me a reason to get involved with the scenery. And sure enough, traditional closet, hanging clothes above us, right on where you'd probably put your jeans, was a Pain Z's, good old pill. Picked it up, turned around. Lizzie was right next to me at this point.
Yeah, Lizzie was with you. I was like around the corner. I was trying to look in the closet, but I only got to like glance in the closet.
Yeah, we were very fortunate where we ended up landing during like the setup time.
Yeah.
As soon as we turned, it was right there. We didn't have
right
to
there,
go.
yeah.
Yeah, we didn't have to go anywhere. So we turned. I believe at this point I gave the person the pain pills, and immediately after that, through the closet there was like a boom in sense of like the audio kicks up, and we turn around and
We had like a riser kind of shriek almost. Yeah.
and like and a slam, and then as we turn, Mama's running out of the closet and like straight in line for Lizzie. Lizzie,
Did you
tell me.
guys see?
I took off.
Did you guys see this happening at all, or was it the noise that cued you too?
No, I saw her coming for me.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Like out of the closet? Was she
Yeah.
just like behind clothes, or like
She
what was
in,
it?
I didn't see her until the clothes she started coming
Oh
through.
my god!
Because you had gotten. It's
I was-
funny.
I
You
was gone by
opened the
then.
door and almost thought there was something and jumped, and then we were like, "Oh no, it's just
Because
something
there was
on the back of the door."
there was a light on.
So you grabbed a thing, and I was like, "Oh, what else is in here?" Kind of thing.
Yeah.
She came running out, and I was like, "No, bye bye."
That's
you did
awesome.
take off. That's true.
I think that was the biggest scare of the night for me. Just
Probably.
because I just
Hell
happened
yeah.
to be in the right place.
Well, it's the same,
too.
right? Like
Yeah.
the axe thing didn't scare anybody else except for me, who was right there. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah, it's specific to you.
Yeah. So there's those moments. But that one was really fun. It was very confusing, I think, probably for everybody else because, like, you almost wish they had made it a closet that was further in so people back could have seen more because everyone did start to scatter and there was no one else near the closet. And the closet was pretty, like, forward in the room.
Yeah.
Like, everybody
Yeah.
else had to go deeper. And so it's, like, almost... So when that noise went off, I was like, where is it? What is the thing? You know what I
Right.
mean? And I was looking around to the other closets or where other people were. So it wasn't until like, I don't remember if it might have been Lizzie who actually like moved or did her thing first. And then I looked and saw her. But yeah, it was definitely, there was a moment for me where it was like a confusion from it, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, there was no clear direction. Whatever was happening was happening.
So I wish it would kind of been in a different area so more people could have witnessed it.
The only thing I could think of that might keep people, and again, that would be someone to ask like you, Jessica, because you weren't there. Like for us, who just turned around and was there, there was a light in the closet that maybe it spilled out that might be like, hey, look here. This is like
Right.
your spot, for lack of a better way.
Right.
But other than that, that was the only key that there was.
And he had kind of kept us away from like the bed, which was where it was kind of leading to. Like, because
Yeah.
I remember when we first walked in, you did have that kind of idea of like you were going around the side of the bed to go look at things, and he actually pushed you back.
Yeah.
So he could kind of stand over there. Because they do that a lot where if they're setting up for something, usually it's very like, stay over on this side, don't go past that light or don't go past this
Yeah.
thing. Like,
Yeah,
you know
that
what I
happened
mean?
a
They're
couple
trying
of
to
times.
keep you safe or whatever. And so to me, I'm like, but there really wasn't an opportunity for where that was located for people to be on the other side to see it, in my opinion.
I think that wasn't totally their fault though, because just the room set up, I don't know where else they could have had
Sure.
it happen.
Yeah, maybe that's part of it.
I was like, from what I saw, because it's hard to describe the room setup, but it was almost like a bottle,
Yeah.
and on the shoulder of the bottle is where the closet was,
Oh,
and
that's a good way,
everyone was
that's a
in
good
the
way of
neck.
describing it.
Yeah, exactly. and
that's
everybody
cool.
was in the neck, so you couldn't see it.
Yeah.
So anywho, she comes out. He subdues her. I think he had.
He gives you the pills.
Oh, is that what it was?
Yeah, he gives her the pills, and then he gets something. I think it might have been a key, because then we go to Christmas room.
Yeah.
Or fucking Christmas land or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. He opens up the double doors, and she's the only one allowed in there. This is what they called Christmas Land. It's where their worst, most difficult, and most out of it patients are, and they do seem a little violent and stuff too. And the idea is that Mama's like the only one who can go in there. So one of our people had to dress up like Mama. They had to go take her wig and
Yep.
Put a robe on.
put a robe on, which
That
was
guy
pretty.
did not hesitate. He was down.
He was so ready.
Yeah.
He was so ready. And then there was a cool moment where, one of their beds was blocking the door across the way. So asked one of our people to use their powers to move the bed. So again, they had some effects this way and stuff. And then we were supposed to confidently go walk through the room once Mama opened the door, fake Mama. And she was like, just, be brave or I don't remember what he said. It was something like just
walk confidently.
walk confidently.
Yeah,
And
you've been here
somebody didn't
before.
walk confidently.
No,
Yeah,
I
they
don't.
went for us.
I don't think that was ever the case. I mean, honestly, the second or third person through, which might have been one of those was me. Like immediately, he's like, "Oh, go, go, go!" And like that was meant to be like more scary, and it wasn't. It was very linear. And we talk about this for knots. Knots will make you. It would have been one thing if you had to. Like, imagine a knot setup where there's something in the middle and you have to kind of wrap around that to
Totally.
get away. Here, it was like point A to point B. You could have walked in a straight, closed your eyes, walked, and you would have gotten out of there in 3 seconds.
Got it.
Didn't feel dangerous, didn't feel scary. Not to
Yeah,
me,
I
at
almost,
least.
after, I was like, oh, I should have looked around more.
Yeah.
But I do think it would have been very interesting if one of them had not even like touched someone, but just gotten in their way a little bit.
Sure, yeah.
And
Maybe
then like, oh,
someone
I gotta
does
go
get
around
locked
you.
in there, right? We have to get them. It increases the danger that
Yeah.
the situation because
Yeah, there was a few of those. Yeah, I'm with you. Could have been scarier.
yeah.
So we make it through. He's our guide, this orderly, is about to make it through but doesn't. The door gets closed. We hear a lot of screaming.
That's right. They
We
get
hear a
him.
lot of, they get him. And there's a lot of confusion on our part because we are suddenly in a dark room and we are alone with no host.
We were going to this bedroom to look for a kid, weren't we?
I think we were looking for the daughter. Weren't
yeah,
we?
the girl, it was a different patient. And so, there is a part I missed, right? Like when the orderly, when we were on the stairs, he was talking about there's another patient who was around that we needed to distract. And so we had a couple of girls from the group who could go be friends with her. Like he specifically pointed them out, picked some girls and said, you two are actually, she remembers you. She's really close with you. I know you don't know who she is, but she will remember you. Like go be friends with her, go distract her kind of a thing. Because I think that was part of it was like if we're sneaking around in Mama's room, she shouldn't know about it. Like she was kind of a fan of Mama or something.
Yeah.
Maybe she's a daughter of Mama. I don't know.
Was she a fan of Mama or was she a fan of the kid whose room we went into? Because that was the feeling that she doesn't want you talking to me. I don't even know if this is right. Talking to this kid to find out where her.
sleepwalker.
Yeah, they got the candle.
Yeah, because I thought, were we going to him to find out where the doctor was? Like he
Yeah.
could lead us to the doctor?
So they were like, there is a patient who's just like you guys. He's a sleepwalker. And I think it was something like that. Like he'll be able to lead us to the daughter of the doctor.
Oh, okay.
That's where the daughter came in. And he was like, so I think that's what it was.
I think it was too.
And so he was like, you need to go find him. And you're right. It was like, but you can't, this girl protects him. So you need to be friends with her. So again, convoluted a little bit, but here we are.
Yeah.
And so when we went off with the orderly, I should say, to face Mama and all these things and then go through the Christmas room, we actually were missing 2 people from our group who were off with the girl. So that's something to say too, that there's some stuff they missed out, but we absolutely missed out on whatever the heck they were doing,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's something to note
When
too.
they came back, I was like, oh, yeah, these girls were gone for a while.
They were gone for a long fucking time.
I was like, they don't know what
Yeah.
Christmas time is or land or whatever. And
Yeah.
Or what happened to Grandma?
yeah, they didn't get to see her at all and stuff. So yeah, there's some things that they definitely missed, but we also missed whatever she got to do with this girl.
Yeah.
So yeah, eventually it takes probably like 30 seconds. There was like a while we were in this room, which was a little bit awkward and a little bit like the guy in the grandma or Mama's outfit was like, do I stay in this?
That's like that mask situation you talked about where it's like the timing was just a little off.
Just a
like-
little off. Yeah, they're
Yeah.
usually better about this. And so she comes in with the 2 girls and immediately does say like, hey, you're not Mama. That's disrespectful. Take all that stuff off. And then, yeah, it gets kind of to the point of like, you were looking for the sleepwalking dude or whatever. And she like opens up a closet or something and he's in there and she says to go whisper. Someone has to go whisper something to him. And
Yeah.
Does anybody know what that was? Did anybody hear that?
Oh, I did hear it at the time.
You did?
Yeah. I
Was it like a statement or was it like a word?
It was like a question.
It
It was like, oh, where is blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, it had to do with the
Oh.
daughter. Like it was like asking
Gotcha.
about her, like kind of a thing.
Yeah.
And so it did. It puts him into action. He's definitely sleeping and he starts, we have to follow the sleepwalker like up the stairs. Like And then it starts to get creepy. There's suddenly like bloody footsteps.
Well, now we're on the third floor.
Yeah, we go
So
we go up the stairs.
Yeah, same nerve-wracking ascension to these stairs. The same glow
This one was a
tape.
little easier because he was slower. He was sleepwalking, so he was pretty slow
I
going
mean,
up.
I guess that's true, but like,
As opposed to like the orderly was like, "Come on, let's go," and you're like,
I must take
Yeah,
my
this guy was
time.
definitely. I'll take a time. I'm sure everything was timed out very specifically for
"Yeah,
all this.
definitely."
Yeah.
So he leads us, or our bloody footsteps up that third story.
It was really cool.
It was really cool because then you like went into the room and you could just see like big drags of blood. So it was creepy, and he just
Yeah.
like points to like this altar looking thing, right? That's like in a closet.
I can't believe you remember all this. That's crazy. Like you like.
I'm
just been
already.
recording
I'm like
this shit.
altar. I
Yeah,
remember everything
that's
else, but
wild.
what's the altar?
I mean, it looked like it, but what it was like, we were holding a candle, I think, this whole time or something. Or no, maybe he gave there was a moment where I just know that the girl had to go whoever had to go into the closet had to put a candle up on the top of it. And that's what triggered, like, it was a hidden door and it opened.
I did not see this at all.
Oh, I know, right?
I missed this.
Yeah.
This is the reason I get really involved in the stories. I'm trying to catch everything. I'm like, where are we?
Yeah.
At points, though, some of us would be in the very beginning, and some of us would be at the end of the line,
Yeah.
and then we get
It's
back
hard.
together. So
Yeah.
I wonder if I just happened to be at the end.
I feel like I was pretty close to this dude when he was going up the stairs. I will say that. So I was probably pretty close to the beginning. So I got to see as he entered and then did his shaky little point and stuff. But I am a little like, how did they know to put the candle on there? That part is a little escaping me. But I saw it happen
Yeah.
because what's funny about it is the girl went to put it on and she had placed it but not fully seated it. And so it triggered it. It opened. But then she still was holding the candle and she was trying to like follow the door to like. So that's why it sticks with me. She was like scrambling to try to get it to like stay on there.
She doesn't do escape rooms. She doesn't know. You've done it, lady. You can put that down now.
Any horror situation, she's going to lose a hand.
And who comes out of there?
It's the guy with the daughter, right? No, it's like the religious people.
No, it's the daughter.
Oh, it's the daughter? When did the religious people
I don't
come out?
fucking remember. I don't remember this
it's
story.
the daughter.
Okay,
It's
I was
the
like,
daughter?
don't make me question myself.
Because then, but we do run into the religious people pretty quickly is the problem.
Zealots.
When we're following the guy up the stairs, the sleepwalker, and we're following the bloody footsteps and the smears, that's when we start seeing the heads too, right?
Yeah, and the gallows.
So right up the staircase, when you turned left, where the reason there's blood and stuff, I'm sure, is because was set up a gallows. There's like 4 spots for people to put their heads in it, and there are 4 heads on the ground from it. So me and Chris, we were pretty close to the top because I remember I got to point it to you, Chris. Like I was like, look at it, kind of a thing. And there was still even the last spot still had like the body there, like without a head, like that was still leaning against the wall. So we go up there and then go into the secret door thing or whatever. She comes out into this room that again has this giant bloody smears leading through there. So I guess maybe that's where they hide the bodies. I don't understand.
Because it also had like bloody handprints, like they were trying to keep themselves from
Yeah.
being dragged.
Yeah.
It was gross.
But again, the production value, right? Like we're in this
It was creepy.
incredible house on carpet, which anybody knows anything, they put a lot of fucking work into this carpet.
Yeah.
Was great. It just really ratcheted up the production because in the first level it's pretty basic. Second level it's getting weird. Third level it's getting violent.
Yeah.
And scary.
And this is supposedly like Charles had told us that he was going up to this point, the assistant Charles, and that he was saying it was dangerous or something.
Was
and
he saying that we needed the daughter to get up there safely?
I think
or-
that's kind of what it was. Yeah, I think you're right. It was something along that we needed her, and he was saying that he kind of gave us the warning that it's like, hey, like there's one of the orderlies here or something. One of the nurses, I think it was a nurse. I can't remember. Either way, like she's become kind of, like a religious zealot sort of thing or something.
the daughter said something about her, how she used to be really kind and stuff, and then just thought she was God kind of
she
thing.
started to think she was God, and she is playing like a very popish kind of role.
Yeah.
But with like a giant sickle, which is really fun. So Reaper as well. But yeah, so then we are with her, and she's telling us kind of the thing of like, we have to find her dad. And then we go out back into that hallway where the gallows are, and she actually says, oh no, Charles got killed, and apparently one of the heads that are on the ground was Charles. So I didn't realize that.
I didn't realize that either.
It might have even been the body that was sitting there, maybe.
You know what's funny? She went over there and said that. I thought she was looking down the stairs as if he had been pushed over the stairs. I did not connect. I didn't see any of the heads. I just totally overlooked it. I guess I was panicking at that point.
It was pretty dark, like, and that's part of them probably hiding the stuff. But yeah, and then we get to meet this lady and I don't know, one of her disciples or something, right? So this lady comes out in her big like Pope kind of garb, and then a man as well, looking very religious, and they have this talk with her, right? Like they're like with the daughter. And they are saying something about her being a sinner or something. I don't remember exactly. But it definitely got to a point where it was saying, we're going to have to like purge some of you or something. Purge.
I might have been purged.
Offering.
Yeah, there was some.
An offering?
There might have been some
It
sort
was
of.
offering season.
Yes, there's some offerings or something. And she gets to it where she's like, but what we'll do is we can have you hide. We will have all of you go and hide. And this is what the guy's saying. He's like, we will give you 30 seconds and then we will come for you. And when you hear the bells chime, then you are safe and you haven't been judged or something. You know what I mean? All this religious stuff. But they're like, but otherwise, if she finds you, if she shines her light of God, which is like her flashlight, if she shines this on you, then you are to come here and, be a sacrifice or whatever.
Yeah.
Which was funny because as soon as he said hide, Chris and I both kind of like twitched at each other. We both were like, oh shit. And he was like, not now.
I know. I did the same thing. I was like, oh, are we going? Are we going? Oh, okay. We got to wait.
Yeah, he was.
I
He
was
was like-
ready to run.
I know, 100%. Yeah. So yeah, that was creepy to hear that we were going to have to actually hide from these people and try to not get God. And they did. They released us. And there was like a noise that kind of gave you the timer-ish.
I think he was yelling out the numbers too.
Oh, maybe.
But that
but
might
yeah.
have been on a different thing.
What were your guys' experiences with hiding?
So we should first of all set the scene that it's you're in the you have access to these massive rooms. There's like a bathroom. There's like a couple large bedrooms that have sheets over some of the furniture. Some of the stuff's been arranged in a way where some of it's in the middle of the room. It's not a well put together bedroom. Almost like a storage room. There was a bathroom. Yeah,
I know. I was
thought
gonna
about
say,
hiding in the shower.
me and Lizzie went so quickly into like the one. So part of when we went into that bedroom where we found the daughter, like the door behind us was open into one of these rooms, and it's like I remember looking in there and seeing all the sheets and stuff and how creepy it looked and stuff, and kept being like something's gonna come out of there. But it was. So it's funny when they said hide, me and Lizzie both like went immediately in that room.
I was like the sheet room. Just get under a sheet.
So we didn't look far at all. We just like jumped to the first thing that we had any idea about.
Okay.
But you apparently looked around.
Not long. I went to the sheet room too because I think there were two of them. I think that was the idea, right? Let's make it easy for people to hide under sheets. And then I wiggled in my manly frame between like this fucking single side bed and a window. I'm like, no one's gonna see me here. I'm safe, and I'm breathing hard, right? Because you're nervous or anything caught. But yeah, so I mean that's where I was at. I don't know where you guys were at.
Yeah, we must have been in the room
He's
next
an
to
amateur hider.
I know.
Breathing like
I'll-
that.
I definitely had some
You were
breathing
breathing
moments.
hard. Yeah, Lizzie. Like, look at you. Like, yeah, you were. I heard
it's
you
funny
before
'cause
I was.
Honestly, when I was a kid, Katie said the one reason she always found me was because I breathed too hard. And so anytime I hide, I always concentrate on that.
Like I have to breathe calmly, calmly breathe.
Katie's like, oh yeah, it was always really easy to find you. You could just hear you like breathing really hard.
I was like, but funny enough, Lizzie ended up kind of picking us some loose spots to you. She went behind a mattress too.
I did.
Yeah, like so. Yeah, me and Lizzie ran into the room, and we were kind of digging through really quick, but heading to the back of the room, which I think was a good plot and a good plan. And yeah, I saw one of the things that was covered over had a good amount of sheet left over kind of on the ground, like next to the box. And so I was like, yes, I can hide under here. And then I even yelled Lizzie because I was like, we could maybe hide together under this thing. It's got enough room. But Lizzie at that point had found the mattress.
I was like,
and
I'm good.
She's like, I'm good. And so she went under there. And then, yeah, I got under there and realized I probably just looked like a lump of a human. And then I even was like, I'm going to bend myself over this box and try to fit the form of the box. Which was a good ploy because it worked at the very least. And then anyways, and then that's when I was like laying like with my chest on the box and my breathing, I was like, oh no, my whole body's moving.
The sheet is breathing.
So definitely, like, cause it's like it was once the music stopped, like, so the music stopped to tell you the time was up, kind of a thing.
Yeah.
And that was when I was like, oh shit, she's coming. And she did. She went to the other room first. Me and
Yeah.
Lizzie, she came to our room last. So did she go to you guys first?
So she came to our room first, and she kept saying like little mouse, right? That was her taunt.
Yeah.
Dude, she found me like within the first 7 seconds. Like I thought there's no way someone's gonna think that somebody could fit back here, but this must have been like the bait. Like, well, everybody's gonna go here. Dude, I swear to God, it at max was 10 seconds before she found me. And it was somebody else because on the way out, as I'm trying to wiggle out of this tight spot, she spots another guy who's right next to me, taps him, she clearly saw him. Dude, we were on the gallows alone for a while. We fucked up. Like we did not have a good hiding spot. So anyway, that was, we were literally neck on the gallows the whole time. So how did it go for you guys?
I mean, I was under the sheet, so I could see through the sheet, especially with her light when she came in. So I could really see where she was, which actually calmed me down to be like, okay, this is fine. Like I can actually decide if I need to hold my breath or not, sort of a thing.
Oh, so you could see her. You could track her.
I could track her. I couldn't track her when she was in your room, but when she entered our room, I was like, oh, okay. And she very much was just going for big spots. She didn't lift any sheets. She was just like going behind things. So it was like, like things like the mattress.
So yeah, the thing is, I hid behind a mattress that was like half on the wall, half on the floor, and it was just kind of bent like an L shape to form. And I swear it was a good hiding place. I knew the sheet was hanging over the other side, but then about 10 seconds before the music stopped, a girl came and was like, she was like, oh God, there's someone over here. And she was like, just let me in, kind of thing. She was
Wait,
like,
someone didn't hide or was
Someone
moving?
not
hid
until
in.
the like 10 last seconds. I'm in the back corner of a room, like dead end. And she showed up and was like, oh, you're already here, kind of thing. And it was just like, it's too late. I'm going to hide here. So I tried to scoot over, and I think I made the sheet on the other side fall, which she could have lifted it anyway.
Yeah.
And so you could see, like, the back of my head. So she found me from behind.
Yeah.
Because if that hadn't been there, she wouldn't have been able to see me.
Yeah, you were tucked really far back into it.
Yeah,
But this other girl
but
sacrifices.
at that point,
You should
though,
have
I
been
was-
like, bug off.
at that point, I was like, I'm caught, but she doesn't know about you. Save yourself.
Yeah, right? Yeah, you're like, you're fine.
But by the time I was caught, the gallows thing was filled. So.
Yeah. So
Guillotine.
then, the bells start tolling. And it was funny. I could see her go towards your mattress, but I didn't know if she'd got you or not.
Yeah.
But I did hear, because she was saying something usually when she found somebody. I don't remember what or something.
She did say something.
Yeah, so there was something that was said over towards your area. So I was like, oh no, is that Lizzie or was that? I'd seen other people go to your area and I was like, are there more people there? I'm not sure. But either way, so the bells toll and even the guy is like, those are the bells of justice. Come out and see, the gathering or whatever.
Yeah.
And so as I'm getting out, funny enough, Lizzie was like passing me and like had put her hand on my back.
I thought Jessica was gone, and I touched her. And I was like, "Oh, she's still there. Good for you." But I was like, "Oh."
And Lizzie she was like, I got caught. And then, but it was funny because even under the sheet, I'd kind of been able to, again, to sort of see your area, just not specifically where you were, but in the general area. And it's like when the bells told me people were coming out, there was like 3 people standing up. I swear. I was like, there's all these people over
there's
here.
a part of me that is like, did she see me, or was she talking to someone on the other side, and the light was
Maybe.
coming through the sheet, and I just didn't know?
Yeah.
You volunteered yourself?
Well, by the time I came out, they were like, "Oh, it's in." Like by the time I could
Yeah.
squeeze out and stuff,
Yeah.
it was filled. She was already back in the main room. They were calling for it to be ended. So I was like, here they realized they had enough people.
Yeah. Which
Or-
they did.
Yeah.
We got into there, like Lizzie and me and like the other remaining people. And I think it was only 4 other people with us out of a group of 11. And so, yeah, there was at least, I thought it was 6 people down there. But now that I say it's 11, it's like, and we had, maybe there was only 3 other people in us. But it was like a lot. There was like 5 or 6 of you that were out there
We got toasted.
at the gallows.
Yeah.
And they're all leaning down doing the gallows pose of getting your head chopped off. and she's saying all these things. They have to take the sacrament, so she has to drink from the wine. And then she's literally about to swing down on Chris's head. Like, Chris happened to be the first one.
Yeah.
And I was like, dang, Chris is going to go. Lizzie didn't have to go down again. And she kind of got away with it because it was like last minute. So she's standing with me like, they don't have to know.
Yeah, I was like, I escaped.
And she was like, there's no room. It's fine.
Safe for one more day. That's all.
Yep. And then as she swings up, she ends up kind of choking a little bit and is like, oh my God. And apparently her drink was poisoned.
Oh.
And we're all saved. And as we're like running away with the daughter does say specifically one girl. She's
Sarah, I think?
Yeah, someone in our group.
Or Ashley.
She had grabbed somebody in our group at some point, have no idea when, and had them poison.
Well, the thing
sacrament.
is, so back with the grandma getting poisoned with pills, he handed it off to another person to keep those pills. And so when we entered that bedroom and the
we
two
gave it to her.
girls came back,
Yeah.
she asked for the medicine, so she took it. When we were leaving that room, she turns to one of the girls she had been with and gives it to her and says, I think you might need this in the future.
Yeah,
And
That's
then
right. I
we
saw that
follow,
too.
we go upstairs, so I'm pretty sure that was the girl who poisoned the goblet. She was,
Love it.
yeah, which I was just like, man, how did they find out which girl had it and stuff? I was like,
Interesting.
they really just...
Yeah, so that was like a cool moment, but also a moment of like someone got to do something cool, but none of us knew any idea about it.
Yeah.
And then this is where we start following her down some steps that get a little dangerous, I think.
That I fall down both times because
Dang,
I was dumb
spoiler
enough to go
alert.
first.
We literally, because I think at this point we do start going to the basement, right? Like this is the basement now.
We're going down.
So
this
we're going
point.
from the third floor to the basement. That's a lot of steps. And they get so dark and they get so steep. And you can see it's just glow tape on all of them that's lighting it. And what they do that Lizzie was talking about is that on the final step, which is supposed to indicate it's the final step, instead of it just being one little strip on each step, they do a full box around that step on the edges of the step. But Lizzie was thinking that the box was at the bottom of the steps.
I didn't even notice that it was a box.
Me neither.
I just figured that's the floor. They're lighting like the last thing you can step on, and they weren't. They were lighting
the last
step.
And then to go on
there
the
was
floor.
another step down. And I, both times, for some reason, I was leading the
You
group.
fell twice?
Yeah,
I fell twice.
It was one staircase after the other. It was. She did it on the first one, and then the next one, and then that's when I was like, that last step is a step. It's a step. Like because I kind of had caught on. I was like, right behind Lizzie at that point, and was like,
But you said that to me, and I was like, yeah, I see the tape. That's the last step.
and I was like, it's a step.
I mean, that's the, yeah.
and I was being like, you're like missing a step. You're like trying to step too far or something.
Yeah.
And
It was too late by that point.
it was, but at the same time, we did go down another staircase, and it didn't happen. So you did at least.
I let someone else go in front of me.
You did risk it. Yeah, you were first on these ones too, which doesn't help either. That you don't have
Yeah.
someone to follow as they're jumping down
Yeah.
each one. But I mean, it was to the point where the actor had to like kind of stop, and then
She was like, are you okay? Are you actually okay?
yeah, and then she was like, do you want to hold my hand on the next one?
I know. I was like,
Yeah,
no, I just won't go first.
Yeah, like it's fine. So and there was some creepy stuff they did with like the door was like jiggling and stuff past one of the ones you had to go down and
Yeah.
things, you know what I mean? And then this is where we reach the basement, am I right?
Yeah, and at this point, the story to me has been lackluster. The whole experience to me has been lackluster. So I'm hoping for a big finale because in the past, they've had big finales. Like the year that, again, Lizzie got rained out, we went into like a dirt basement and we're chased by like a creature that never stopped chasing you. It was like
Right.
a multi-armed creature that was dug into a cave.
Right.
Like these guys are big finales for me. So yeah, for us to kind of go into the base, I'm thinking, here it comes. Now we're doing something because the basement again is as big as above it, and it's just like it's impressive. It feels like something right out of a classic Universal monster movie, right? And I'm talking black and white, fucking just stone pillars.
It felt still like a cellar. God, what was the word?
Yeah.
It felt very cellar-ish.
Well, funny enough, there was after the original owner passed away, a brewer bought the house, and he was a collector of wine and I guess wine and like whiskey barrels.
Okay, yeah, that would make sense.
So there probably would be a cellar down there that kind
Yeah.
of why you're picking up on that.
Yeah. And so we're kind of like in this sort of tunnely thing. There's a gate she closes behind us, right? I don't know if this is right when we get in the basement or if you guys had any other memories
No,
before
it
this.
feels like it's right when we got in the basement.
Yeah, and so we're kind of lining up on either side of this wall that's like a tunnel, and there's like a blue light ahead, and she does say stop before the light, like stop before you reach the light kind of a thing as we're going in. The walls themselves look really creepy and stony, and there were like a couple of like fake arms, I think, reaching out and
Yeah,
stuff.
it really confused me because it just looked like the wall had a bunch of holes in it and
Yeah.
anyone could be standing behind it. And I honestly kind of leaned out and was like, is this a hole? And it was mostly painted, but they had a couple of holes where the
Yeah.
hands were coming out. So I was like, are there more hidden or are there
Yeah.
not? It kept me on my toes. That's
Totally.
for sure.
I was like, something's going to grab us.
That might be where they hid the wine. Or they had the wine because they're like wine bottle inserts.
yeah, but they were painted.
Well, maybe at some point they maybe filled them or something, you know. But yeah, it felt cheap. Those hands on the walls, that felt like fucking walk-through haunt cheap for me.
I mean,
way
I
below
wasn't quite
Delusion.
sure what they were there for, other than I was thinking that someone was going to reach out and
Yeah,
grab
I was
us.
like, if
Yeah.
it had actually turned out that someone, like, they were fake the whole time and then they moved right at the
That
end
would've
and
been
grabbed
awesome.
someone,
Yeah.
I was waiting for it. And then I got close enough and I was like, oh, those are fake.
They're fake,
Kind of thing. And I was like, oh, that's kind
Yeah.
of a missed opportunity, but
Totally. So yeah, then at some point, I think we actually, is it Dr. Lowell that comes out first, and then we have like this thing happen?
I think we had the thing happen.
Oh, it happens first. So she's talking about a good friend of hers used to come down here, and they would, I think she said, drink together or something like that.
Well, I guess that makes sense.
Yeah, and then literally what happens, which is very startling, is that a body is thrown into that blue light that we're talking about that we didn't go past, and this person is crawling towards it, like at it, trying to eat it, kind of a thing. And apparently the body is like her friend or whatever, because that was like established, and then it's kind of a maniac of a patient, basically. It's like
Yeah.
a patient that they've locked down here because she's so crazy and stuff and like very bad. And then that's when Dr. Lowell shows up, right?
Well, and also before that, the scare. This is the only part that I actually got scared. I was
Yeah.
close towards when the thing. So it was actually slid out. We have like this column of blue light, and you don't hear anything. All of a sudden, you turn for some reason, and then immediately one of those like fake dummy bodies dressed up slides out hard and fast at you.
Yeah.
And there's a moment of like you want to hop over it. It's that close, and that was a moment of kind of jarringness. And then
Totally.
you see that creature you're talking about, that person. But the introduction to that, I think that was pretty good. That
it was
scary.
good.
Yeah.
It was, and again, they light it really pretty. It looks like watching a scary movie for a bit. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
they always do that part really well, and that was really cool to see. And then Dr. Lowell shows up on the other side of the gate and is telling her to like calm down and back off or something like that. I think
Which
that's-
is her dad at that point, right? It's important
yeah,
to note
so
that it's her
yeah,
dad.
and she does say that, like, dad or whatever. And so after the crazy patient like takes off with her meal or whatever, then they kind of unlock the gate and they're having an exchange now where she is saying, I think she does say something about the fact that, Dad, I know what you're trying to do, and I don't want you to do
we
it.
can't do that.
Why don't
It's
we
not
just
good.
burn down the whole castle and start over? And then he's all like, oh, I've thought about that just so many times, and it's not possible at this point. I need to finish what I've started. That kind of exchange. And then he says, who of you want to come with me to finish this? And then some of you can stay with, is it Sarah is her name? Maybe. But anyways, like the daughter, you can stay
Yeah.
with her. And it becomes
stay
pretty,
here and stay safe or come with me and
finish this thing and see
Yeah.
it through to the end or something like that. And so I was going right away. Lizzie started coming with me
I
too.
started coming and then I was like,
And-
which one do I go to?
Chris had to be the smart one amongst our group and was like, one of us should stay behind. Like he was going to the plan right away. I was just acting on impulse.
You were also closest to her too, though.
I was
like
pretty
it was
close, yeah.
easy for you to go that
Yeah.
way,
Yeah.
and I was furthest away from that because that's where the scare came in, and so it was easy for me to stay.
Yeah.
And Lizzie was kind of. I think you were closest to me, Lizzie. Or
I was closer to you and I had that thought of, I want to go. And then I was like, but we should definitely have one person stay at least. One
Yeah.
person go, one person stay. And then I was like, by the time I was like, well, maybe I'll stay. Chris was like, I'm staying. And I was like, well, now I don't know. And I was just like, how many people went that way? How many people went? I'll just stay.
And there was
maybe it's a double, maybe they're trying to trick me that one's going to be more interesting, but I'm going to stay with this.
there was like an exodus,
Yes.
like if you could leave by the gate, you were leaving. Like you were close if you were gone.
To me, I was going to ask you guys that it's like, if you just had an idea of like, you know, it didn't matter how many people win or whatever, which one were you going to go with? And to me, it was like, I don't know what she was offering us. You know what I mean? He was like, let's see this through the end. Let's continue this. And I was like, yeah, I want to continue the story. I want to see whatever the heck is going on here. I'm trying to discover exactly what we're trying to do. What's going on in this Sting story? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So to me, it was a really easy choice to go with him. And I got that feeling too, that everyone was going to go with him. And you could kind of hear the actors quickly be like, I can't take you all. You have to, some of you need to stay. Like, you know what I mean? And they kind of cut it off at like, I think 5 of us or something. But otherwise there was a lot of movement of people going to go.
Yeah.
Because I had that same thought of, oh, we're going to see, like, it's going to be really exciting. And I was like, well, they wouldn't just have us actually stand here and just pretend to do nothing for the rest of the thing.
Right.
You
So
guys
there's
are
gotta
done. That's the end of the story.
So I was like, so there's got to be a story here too. So when everyone started leaving, I was like, you know what? Maybe there's still a good story here to have.
She was all, please don't leave me.
Please
don't. She was like trying to stop people. And I was like,
right.
that was like the only moment. And I was like, I'm already through the gate. Sorry.
If all things were equal, if we'd have known both things, I probably would have chosen to gone too.
That's what I'm
Yeah.
saying.
You know,
It sounded to me, I was like, there wasn't a good selling of the, you know, there wasn't that moment of being like, which way do I want to go? Which I think would have been a cool moment if you had that in people, because we've had that when we've gone to other events. Like even when we did the Masked recently, they had a moment where they wanted you to, you know, you're wearing the mask. Do you want to vote to like kill this person or like, you know, let her go through a trial period or something like that? Like they have these moments that it's like, let me actually ask you what you want to do.
Yeah.
And it's a fun thing where you have to actually decide from the story you've seen which side you're taking, which I think is cool. And they could have done that here, I think. I think there could have been some sort of buildup of throughout this whole journey of like, which side do we want to do? If we knew what the plan was, are we for it or not?
Yeah.
Like you said, if what the story was going to be was like, you know, do we bring her back because it's a possibility, it's great to have loved ones, or like she doesn't maybe even want to come back. If there was any of that conflict beforehand, it would have been interesting, but I didn't have any of that. I didn't even fully understand what I was going to follow, other than that I was like, he's doing crazy experiments. He somehow got me powers. I want to have more powers. Here we go. Like
It would have been interesting even if she was like at the end, like, Dad, if you do this, then I have to go against you, kind of thing.
yeah, something, right? Like
Something of like
a little more
he's like,
dire.
either you come with me or you're my enemy from now on, kind of thing.
Yeah, like I don't own. Yeah, we disown or something.
And there was no level of urgency. I'll say that. Like people were literally standing around talking. It's like it just feels like there should be more urgency in moments like that. A call to action, something.
It
like,
didn't feel very levity or any of that
even
stuff.
when they locked us in, there was a moment of like, oh, okay, thank you guys for staying with me. It just felt like it kind of, I don't know, it just kind of fell flat. It really did. It kind of fell flat that moment.
Instead of being like, thank you for staying with me, it should have been like, we have to stop him. We got to go now.
Yeah,
We got to find a way out.
Yes.
And we got to stop him. And there was nothing like that. Even when we were, so we left and we went to,
it didn't feel dire. Like, and I have that thought. I keep being like, I think this is kind of where the story, if they had looked at this moment being like kind of a crux of this story,
Right.
this could have been so much more. But it's like, I think, yeah, they should have built from this moment and like backwards to kind of see what they wanted to do, in my opinion. But it felt like we led up to this moment and then there wasn't, again, we just didn't have the information. We didn't have any sort of feeling about what this would do. And it's like, it should have been more grave. It should have had more levity to it.
yeah.
Anyhow, do you guys want to talk about what happened with you guys then first? Or
I mean, the most exciting thing that happened to us is that chick falling, in my opinion. Like, and I don't mean Lizzie. Lizzie's not that chick.
But
Liz-
I didn't get, I don't know
so this
anything that
is-
happened. So
I
please tell
don't even
me.
remember how we got out of there. Did we have a key? What?
No, so she just opened the gate.
Oh, she just opened it.
Yeah, she just opened the
I
gate.
You
thought
guys
we
were
were locked
there,
in there.
for a moment, just being sad.
Yeah. and
Moment
then-
of just being, thank you.
I think she talks about
We need to do
like
something.
exactly, yeah. Like they used to keep dynamite under here, some bullshit, right? So then we go back the exact same way we came in, and again, this is where it got really dangerous for me, where the walls, it's not a high ceiling, and the walls were stone and jutting out. If you like hit one, you were really gonna get fucked up.
It was not like, not level ground at all. You're trying to kind of rush.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a level of urgency at this
Yeah.
point because now we're being like hurry. Now we're being hurry.
Yeah.
So like if you didn't say thank you, if we just went this whole time. Not gonna
yeah. So I think we find there was, I believe, an experiment down there that was kind of on the loose, and they were moving like, here, get in here, or hide in here. And it was a small like nook. It would probably be the size of, I don't know, maybe like a small room. We all climbed in there. And remind me if I'm wrong on this, Lizzie. There was a step down, and this is where that girl fell. She fell coming into the room.
So when you open the door, there's tape like right where the door had been shut, and that's to indicate that there's a stair. But there's nothing on the floor, no lighting
scary.
in that room at all, really, until I think she might have been holding something in her hand, and so I would have fallen. But Chris in front of me said, "Oh, there's a step," so I stepped down, and I think the girl right behind me, which I felt bad I didn't say anything. I think she fell. She didn't see the step because. It honestly just
super
looked
dark.
like it was marking like the doorway you go to. I would have never seen it as there's a step down because there's tape here.
You would have thought it was like a bump of like the doorway kind of a thing.
Yeah, so it was very. That's one where I was like, they needed some light right here.
See, I don't think they needed it. It would be nice. They had a candle there.
That's what I'm saying. There's little lights like that you can do. Like little tea candles even would have just like given enough light that's like on a different level that you're like, oh, if you're looking down, you would see it.
Because honestly, you could not see this change in level. And I know maybe for you guys, like being in stage and stuff and having to put down taping marks and stuff, it's like an automatic conclusion when you see it that there's a step.
Right.
But for me, I was just like, oh, it's marking the doorway, it's marking a bump, it's marking something. My mind never went to, oh, it's marking that this is a step down.
Well, I'm not in theater, and I don't have that either. So I know that, so I don't want to say that we all look at it differently, but at the same time, like, I think that being aware of the circumstance in like the area, because it was very clear to me that it wasn't specifically safe.
Yeah.
And so like there are things you do if it's dark and you don't know if there's a step, you step lightly, you know?
I'm in a rush, man.
And so, well, we were all in a rush. But,
And that's where I think
like,
it gets dangerous. And I think in the past, Delusion has done this as well. Their last location, we had similar moments like this where you would have
this
to
could be
run
dangerous.
away from something, and you're running down these steps that are super rickety and tiny and steep. And we had moments where we're like, dude, someone could get like effed up on this pretty easily. Like we've had those thoughts about Delusion before where everyone's been fine every time we've been there. But at the same time, we've had those moments of like, they're trying to rush you. And I would say that to Chris. I'd be like, I had to stop rushing. Like I had to be like, no, I'm going to take as much time as I need in this area because this seems way too dangerous. Like, so I've had that experience with Delusion before, and I feel like they should try to do more about it when they're in these situations. And I do think it's as easy as like put some fake candles down. You know what I mean? Like there are small lights that don't emit a lot of light that you could just put to kind of indicate like, oh, here's the ground level or whatnot, you know?
Yeah.
I just feel bad. This girl definitely got really hurt.
got
like
really hurt.
went down.
Yeah. She rolled her ankle.
Fully fell?
Yeah.
Fully fell.
She said she rolled her ankle too.
Yeah.
She actually said that out.
She said it. Yeah.
Ugh.
She's like, I hurt
the
my
look,
ankle.
the look on her face, her friend was concerned. Like she was able to walk because there was still a lot to do.
Yeah.
Maybe so adrenaline probably carried her. But she was, she
But
she
even
fucked up.
running down the hallway, her friends got a little separated from her, and I could hear them telling each other, be like, she's really hurt, kind of thing. So I was like, oh, this poor girl.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
And so then that's crazy too because it's the same actress then who was like helping you with the whole like you trip down the steps and then she just had someone completely rolled her ankle.
Yeah.
I'm sure that after the weekend that would happen, that they're going to put some type of something down to light these steps because that's, again, that's nobody else fell, but if one person falls and gets hurt, it's terrible for your experience, their experience, and it just sucks.
And if two people fall down, then it's a problem.
If two people ruins it for everybody else.
There's a reason they have you sign
Blaming
those waivers,
me.
though.
That's true. Those waivers are a big deal.
Anyway, we go into that room, we grab some dynamite.
Yeah.
And then
you guys said there's an experiment down there, like a person?
It was a person.
It was a person, and
so
they
you
were
had a creepy person you had to hide from, or?
Well, chasing us, and then we had to hide from them in that room.
Oh, that's kind of fun.
Yeah.
Was it like the lady again, or was it?
I think it was the lady again.
You think it was the lady?
I think it was the lady again that we saw with
That
even
patient.
the person down there. Because think about it. I don't think I saw another actor. I'm pretty sure it was that person.
It would make sense.
Yeah.
We saw her briefly when we first left, and
Yeah.
then she kind of went away for us.
Yeah, she was like, wasn't she like eating something? Eating a person?
Yeah.
She's like eating people down there. That was what, at least for us too. That's why I said it, because even when she had the body, she was kind of on top of it.
So
like,
I think she did still have the body. and she was eating it. And
She did.
I'm kind of confused because I know we hid in that room, then we came back out and we went to the area she had been in and she was gone. But Chris pointed it out. If you look behind us, every once in a while you could just see a shadow pop up
peeking
over the wall.
Oh,
and
that's
look at us.
so creepy.
Look again. I think I wouldn't have seen it if you hadn't pointed it out, and I think we were the only two who saw it.
We were
That's
at the
so
back.
fun.
That's
Yeah.
why. I'm like, I don't want, because again, I didn't want to get hurt. I'm like, there was a point when we had to run. Dude, I was running like a fucking football player. My hand up. I got my head real low beneath
Oh,
my
God,
shoulders.
yeah.
Because if you could, so anyway, so I was very aware. So I'm looking around. If we're chased, I don't want to get hurt. So
Yeah.
we were at the back. The only reason I saw it is because we were at the back looking
Yeah.
it that way. That was it.
Well, that's
Yeah.
cool though.
But it was cool though, yeah.
Yeah, it's
it
like
was
a fun
definitely
little.
a creepy little addition instead of
Someone's
just, you
watching
know, I'm just
Yeah.
gonna sit here and wait till I redo
Yeah.
my stuff. But
Part of her experiment was she couldn't be in the light long, was what like we had gotten
Oh,
told, at least by
interesting.
the doctor.
Well, you guys
So-
were told that.
Yeah, we were
Oh,
told
we
that
didn't
by
know
the
that.
doctor.
well, I thought he said when he left us all locked up there, or what I thought was locked up, that just stay to the light. She doesn't like the light. or
Yeah,
something.
exactly. Yeah.
Oh, I missed that.
Yeah.
Good catch.
So I was gonna say that's part of it. So I don't know if that affected wherever you guys were. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
So I think
Yeah.
at that point we link up with her then, right?
Then we go through the doorway
You bust
and we're
in.
with you guys.
You
Yeah.
guys interrupted. You bust in. You don't even sound like you were welcome.
Oh,
We're the life of the party. We're welcome wherever.
So for my part, we start going through immediately, clearly, like we're on the other side of the gate, and he starts leading us through, and he says, thank you guys so much for your help. He's like, I've been working to bring back like my wife for this long, and he's like, I think we're finally at the point where I can do it, kind of a thing. You know what I mean? He's like, and you guys have been the strongest. You're my, you are my prized patients or whatever. Like, you know what I mean? Kind of like giving us that development. We do get a spook from the girl, that the patient down there. She like jumps up like out from around a wall, like kind of at us all crazy, and he like shines his flashlight on her and is like, that's when he says, stay calm, you can't, you can't be in the light very long, kind of something like that.
Oh.
And she's like gnawing on some kind of person or whatever, and we had to like pass her and stuff, but he does say, he's like, she's not gonna hurt you. Which I kind of wish he didn't say that, because passing her was really creepy otherwise. But
Oh,
when he
that's
was like,
cool.
yeah, when he was like, she's not gonna hurt
Instead
you. I
of
was
that,
like,
been like, keep an eye on this one or something.
yeah, something. But it was cool because as we're walking through, he does talk a little bit about his failed, he's been trying this for a while and he has had a lot of failed patients and things like that. And there's a lot of dead bodies down here is basically what is happening.
Oh shit.
So as we were walking through, there's like, for one, it was really cool because there would be like, there'd be like a room you kind of pass and you could just see a bunch of like dead bodies kind of laid out. And then you look to like the other side and it was like kind of a longer tunnel, but they had like bodies even hanging and stuff. So there was just like, it started to feel like, oh my God, there's like some sort of morgue. Like they just throw a bunch of dead bodies down here kind of a thing. And it's his failed experiments and things like that. So you are just like, oh, okay, this is comforting.
Ah, shit.
So that was kind of cool. That was like all this dead stuff. And then we enter the room that you guys will eventually enter. And, he has this like book or whatever. And he's like, I have gathered all the materials. I've done all the things. Right. And he's like, I have drawn out this circle on the ground, like with all of the runes and whatnot. And he's like, now I just need you guys to do this. We're going to open the door to the other side is what's going to happen. And that's how his wife will then come through. I will call her through and she will come back to life, basically, is what he's doing. So we make like a semicircle around this like thing, not fully round, just semicircle. And he's kind of on the top of it. And he starts giving very specific instructions. I am also, by the way, like the most powerful patient of everybody, because he did say that. He's like, you have always been one of the strongest, and I want you to specifically do this.
One of the strongest. I think the strongest was
might have been,
doing
like-
the other thing with the daughter.
So I had to like do circling things, and other people had to do like, there's different movements he gave us to do, like dig out things and stuff. But anyway, so for my part, I made the circle hole. And so it's cool. It's like you start moving your hands and you can see it as the circle lights up like slowly, you know what I mean? Kind of builds up and things start swirling.
It's magic.
It is magic. And it was really cool. This was like the most effects heavy part that they had. where stuff is happening here, but then the windows that were in that room, we start seeing lightning and flashes happening in there
cool.
too and
That's
stuff. Yeah, so it starts getting really wild, and he's kind of saying his thing as calling it forward, and you see it like eventually opens up, and it's pretty bright now, and there's things swirling, and he calls his wife through, and you can just see like this person coming up like from deep down.
Oh, shit.
Like crawling their way out, and they did look kind of ghoulish, but they're coming out, and I was like, what the fuck is this? And it's like just as they were like reaching through was when you guys came in. So by the way, amazing freaking timing. I don't know how they timed that out for y'all, but they did. And so you guys bust in, which immediately draws all of our attention to you guys, right?
Yeah.
So, and he kind of rushes forward too to be like, no, don't interrupt or something like that, right? So that's happening. And so as he rushes by and that's happening there, I like didn't take very long before like looking up at you guys to look back, because I was like, dude, that thing was just coming out. And when I look back down, there's a freaking person there.
Oh shit.
So it was super quick that all of a sudden there's like a person in the circle who's like the thing that looked like it was crawling up. It looked ghoulish and white.
Very nice trick.
Yeah, great trick. And I was the first one to see it in the group that had been there, because I was like, oh shit. And then like the people next to me were like, oh, you know what I mean? Like the slow everybody seeing it. So that was a really cool like trick of the eye, like you distraction, look here, and this is going to appear here, but had no idea otherwise how they did it. Like it felt so incredibly quick.
That's
it
awesome.
had to be exactly timed. And I do
Totally.
remember when we went into that little room and hid and stuff, she picked up dynamite, and I was like, it feels like you have more to say, or that you're stalling or something, because you just kind of lingering for a second. And I kind of thought back and was like, was that to like, I'm supposed to spend 30 seconds here, I'm supposed to spend
Totally.
10 seconds here,
I
kind
probably
of thing.
cue on the radio.
Yeah.
That's probably what
Yeah.
happened. They probably cued her on the radio. Get in here now.
Yeah.
5 seconds.
Has to be something like that,
Yeah.
right? But either way, very well done. And then, so now we have the wife. That is the person who came through, right? And we're all in the room together. The daughter had busted in to be like, Father, you can't do this. And it's like, well, it's too late. She's
Yeah.
here. And he turns to her to kind of talk to her, right? Like this ghoulish lady. And do you guys remember she was kind of saying like, that this isn't right? Like you've opened up.
Like, this isn't right. The dead aren't coming back, or I'm not coming back, or something.
Yeah.
Like, it's not me that's coming back, kind of thing.
Yeah, that kind of a thing. Like it was like, this isn't correct and things. And then she starts to kind of freak out. And then we see the opening starts cracking, right? Like there's cracking, and it's going up the wall now. And so it's like something else is opening up, or something else is going
And
terrible.
it looked like she was, like, breaking apart.
Yes. And she was like freaking out until she eventually attacks him, right?
Yep.
Whoa.
She grabs him, snatches him up, trying to eat him or something.
Something.
And then the daughter's like, we gotta go, and was running us out. This is the part I thought was the most dangerous.
I definitely did not run as fast as
Yeah.
I could.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. Could not see anything. And I think everybody behind me felt that same way too, because for me too, I was like, we were going, it was crazy. But yeah, as we're running through, there were things happening. Like there was stuff that was making noises and happening. It felt like all those dead things that were like, that I had seen originally were now starting to come to life. Like, I don't know how accurate that is, but that was like the noises of things happening, like where those dead things had been that I'd seen, where now we were hearing noises from there.
I think me and Chris were too far ahead to
Way
hear
ahead of
that.
that. Yeah,
You guys were,
we were
like-
at the front.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you
We were at
guys
the
were
front.
so far ahead, and I was still pretty close to the front of the group, but I had slowed down a ton. And I just I remember I was running with both hands like fully in front of me, because I just was like running,
Yeah.
wasn't really running.
Because we were still in the
Speed
basement,
walking.
just to be clear.
We were in the basement.
Yeah, and so like there were those low ceilings that
Yeah.
were concrete.
It was so dark.
Yeah.
It was so dark. You
Very
couldn't.
uneven floor.
Yeah,
just
you
lots of
couldn't-
things in the way.
And I kept thinking that. I was like, I have no idea where the heck I'm going. I can't see. And I'm trying to keep up with the group so I don't get lost. But I'm also like, and you could see her, like, she was used to going through it, but she would have to stop and kind of come back, or, make sure people caught up
sure,
a little
yeah.
bit.
Oh.
But that was a little rough. And then we ended up, I guess, where you guys had kind of convened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And at some point, we're told you're going to set off this dynamite.
Yeah, there was like one of those, I don't even know what they're called, those, Wile E.
The
Coyotes.
trigger. Yeah.
We didn't set that up with her, though.
No, it was already there.
Yeah.
It was
How'd
already,
you know then?
because
She
we were
led us to
first.
it.
Like, we were
Oh,
first.
and then she said, you're going to have to
Yeah,
hit
you're
this.
going to push us down when I say so.
Yeah,
Okay.
so we didn't even do that with her or anything.
Oh, okay. Got it.
That's why I'm guessing she was in the front to set up the dynamite.
That makes sense. Okay. And so, yeah, once we all get far enough in, then you hit the trigger. and then we hear explosions and stuff.
Really doesn't make sense because you'd have to line up the whole wire to do that.
I'm with you. I had a moment where I was like, I thought you guys were just finding the dynamite. But yeah. And then we're like led up the stairs and have a little outro thing and we're done.
And we're done.
And that's the end.
Yeah, that's a great, actually, beat by beat kind of expectation of Delusion. So for the people that are still with us, that is exactly what you can expect from this year's offering.
And I always say, I was like, the reason that we do the spoiler part of this is because if you don't get to go, right? Like if you want to listen to this, but you know you're not going to go, but you still don't, you're like maybe considering it next year.
Yeah.
Or like you just like, hey, I missed this year. That's happened to us. We've missed things. And I've been like, I wish I could have seen, and we'll go online and try to find videos or something.
Yeah.
That's kind of why I do it. I think it's good for us to do the spoiler part of this because at least you will find out the story, hopefully, if we haven't missed too much. And don't get me wrong, there are things we missed or we are kind of
I mean, there's
glancing
not
over.
much that you missed. That was actually a pretty good rendition of it.
It's only
John.
what the girls did when they were pulled aside. That's
Yeah.
like the
And
only
we'd
thing.
have no idea what that was.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So then should we talk about what we liked most about it then? Because we really just kind of hit, I mean,
Yeah.
you know, so Lizzie, since yours your first go, let us know. What did you like most about Delusion?
Oh, ooh, I don't know. The acting was really good. The storyline I got a little confused on, but the acting and the scenes were really fun to do. There was lots of interaction and stuff. I never got pulled aside specifically, but it was still fun. And I didn't expect it to have any funny moments. So the funny moments, I think, just hit harder.
Yeah. They were
know what?
funnier because of it. Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, there's still good memories, you know, hiding behind a mattress and then having to try and squeeze over
True.
so another girl could make it.
Yeah.
Falling down the
hiding,
stairs.
The hiding did stand out for me, I will say. I
Yeah.
thought that was actually pretty cool.
Being scared by Granny and seeing Jessica scared by an axed man.
Gee.
What is your favorite thing? You're rattling off a bunch of good things. What's your favorite thing?
I don't know if I can pick a favorite.
She has several favorites.
All right. Well, then we'll come back to you. Mull on that.
Oh, my
what was your
goodness.
favorite thing, Jessica?
I know, it's true. I was like, even when you say it, I'm like, what is my favorite thing? Do you have a favorite?
I just the location.
Yeah,
For
location.
me, the
overall.
location was the favorite thing. Yeah, there was.
I think, yeah. My favorite would probably be that the how much they involved us in it.
Oh, really?
And the splitting up of people and things like that. I thought this was the best year I've had for that. Of like, it just felt like so many more were involved. I feel like in the past we've gone and there's been a select few that get chosen, but it's like definitely not an opportunity for everyone to get chosen.
Yeah.
And they almost, I used to say that I was like, there was like one time where like, or two times maybe where somebody, a single person gets pulled away for a little bit and they kind of have their own moment, but it's not, and we don't get to see it, but then we catch up with them. This one had way more opportunities of like, you will get separate experiences, you know what I mean? Or like, you'll see this part of the story or whatnot.
Yeah.
And I think it was successful in that you also don't miss the story as well. You know what I mean? Like you still got a good amount of everything. You didn't feel like I have no idea what happened and therefore I might have missed out, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's my favorite part.
Yeah, at least I feel like in the end I got the entire story.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I've been into events where I'm just like, it was fun what I saw, but I have no idea what the storyline was because I missed half of it. I didn't get pulled into this part.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Kind of
feel like
thing.
the story for me was like I knew how it started and I knew how it ended. The middle is where it got messy for me. Like I feel like the little sub characters, I didn't really see a purpose for them. I don't think they really helped the story. So for me, the story was just okay, but I got it. You know what I mean? I knew that we were there because this guy was trying to resurrect his dead wife, and then we saw that. And then we
Yeah.
know what happened, but like in the middle is kind of work. Just a little muddy
Yeah.
for me, just a little muddy.
Yeah.
What did you like least about it, Jessica?
I think I would have to go with, okay. I was going to say story, but I think I actually am going to go with, I really wanted there to be like some monsters and some really cool effects. And again, that I think comes from other years, but it's like we've had giant spiders that they actually show off at the beginning of this thing where you can, if you show up early and you're checked in and you're waiting till your time, they have like a little area you can hang out in.
Cocktail lounge.
Yeah, and
Magicians.
and they have a couple of their stuff set up in like a corner that you can look at from past years, and one of them is like a giant spider. They had a giant spider in the past that was so freaky when it crawled around and moved towards you.
Because
and
it was
like
mobile,
that.
right? It was like there was like
Yes.
a person that would between.
And that's why I say I'm like their special effects stuff is just like amazing. So they do that, and then like there was the big creature we talked about in the past. They've done really cool stuff with projections, but this felt like you know they had the projection stuff at the end and some effects, but it wasn't anywhere near like this is the level of like, oh, okay, yeah, I expect this kind of visual effects. But I wanted like other visual effects that would have heightened it more, and we have had that. We've had spirits show up that you can interact with in the past. Like you know what I mean? Like there's just a different level that in the past that they've brought for either their visual effects or special effects. And then definitely like just the imagination of like the creepy characters that are just gonna like, I mean, not characters, but monsters. Like I just can't say it any other way. The creatures that will freak you out. And we didn't get any of that. We had all human beings.
Yeah. What about you?
Yeah.
Lizzie?
I didn't realize that until you guys had said at the end, like, there were no monsters, and I could definitely see where they could have put some in. I think, though, my least, I don't want to say favorite, but the thing that bothers me the most is the price point for it.
Good point.
Because
That's
I
a good
feel
point.
like most of that price is probably going to renting that house, it feels like,
Yeah.
because it doesn't feel like anything else is, like, over the top special.
Yeah, like what else were you using your budget
Yeah.
on for this?
Yeah, good. That's actually a fucking great point, Lizzie. I that's the price. I didn't like the story. You made a great point too, Jessica, where it's like there weren't a lot of really outlandish creatures. You pay a lot of money to be kind of have one of those moments, and we talk about it like a show-stopping moment.
Yeah.
And you saw one. It was towards the end, but it was one. I feel like there have been
yes.
other show-stopping moments. The year last year when there was a creature in a fireplace. There's a fireplace.
Yeah.
And then a creature man suit just kind of pops up and goes from it. You know what I mean? Like,
Yes.
there's that one. There was the spider, the one you mentioned too. There's
Yeah,
like
you hide under a bed for the spider
the
that comes.
six-legged creature that chases you out of the cave. You know,
Yeah.
2 years ago, they had the person that pops out of the grave 4 years ago, whatever.
Yeah.
There wasn't one of those for me.
Yeah, there's show-stopping
Yeah.
moments is I
Yeah.
think the way we always talk about it. And I don't know if there was one in this. Other than, like you said, it could be the part I saw because it still was really impressive. But then my problem with that is that it's like, I think only like the 5 people I was with would have got that because you guys didn't get to see the part right before it. So you guys bust in and then there's a person in a circle basically.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that wouldn't have worked like for everybody. And I do think your show-stopping moments need to be with everybody.
And so for me, like I didn't like a lot of it. I'm not gonna lie. Normally of course there are good things about it. The location is phenomenal. That in itself, the story to me fell flat. The effects fell flat. I didn't necessarily like the acting. The acting wasn't necessarily.
Do you think it was because they didn't have anything though, like story-wise?
No, I don't
or?
think so. I don't. I think that. Well, I think everything starts a story. You've heard me say that. I think that is kind of the foundation.
Sure.
And that wasn't interesting enough to me at this point. I didn't like the sub characters they had. I love the location. I liked what they did with it. I just didn't care about anything that was going on within it. And I
Yeah.
felt like, honestly, this is probably the worst year for me Delusion has done since I've been coming to this event.
You know, I think it's very telling that my favorite moments are not the scary moments, but
Yeah.
the funny moments.
Yeah.
Good point.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that
Like-
means that there wasn't a lot of scary moments, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that it's like that was what stood out to us as like the funnier parts because at least they were memorable.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Which means that the scary parts either they didn't exist or they weren't memorable.
Because even like hide and seek, it didn't feel like there was like a real consequence. It was just a fun thing to do in the middle of it all,
Yeah.
kind of thing.
That wasn't even the middle. That was towards the end.
Yeah, I guess that was really
you
towards
know.
the end.
Yeah, that's true. If you think about it, that's in
But
the latter
yeah.
half.
I'm just like, the play, hilarious. Even the table thing, while
That's my
while
thing.
it
is
was more dramatic, it was still like a fun thing to do. It wasn't scary.
all the characters at the beginning were definitely my favorites too. I will say that, like, because you mentioned the acting, like Lizzie had said, it's like the girl that was out in the garden who was talking about which bush we should pee in and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, funny and also really greatly acted. And then kind of same, we got into the Charles Nicholas thing, and they at least were dynamic and very interesting. And then the girl who's putting on the play, very funny too and interesting. It's like all those characters I think were really strong and good. And then it's like as it went on, it started to feel like it kind of fell off a little bit.
It almost felt like it was developed from beginning to end.
Right,
And they
as opposed
kinda-
to looking at your main point and working backwards.
Yeah, they got you really interested, and then they kind of lost their way, and then they knew their ending, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And they just were trying to get there.
Yeah.
Well, there's something to be said about filler too. You know how it starts, you know how it ends, but you have to make sure everything in between looks good. And to me,
Yeah.
that's where you just stuff a bunch of random events in there, and like to me, that just didn't land. But again,
I think starting with Grandma, it kind of got less interesting.
Well,
for
and
me.
then
Yeah, the Sleepwalker was like the next coolest part for me. Like I
Ugh,
felt
really?
like, yeah,
Jesus.
because it was, to me, it was like the atmospheric weirdness of like we were just following this dude into like nothing, and it felt creepy, and it felt like we were following this blood trail, and it's like we have no idea this guy's just leading us in here.
Oh, I didn't get that feeling.
No,
same. I felt bored.
I just felt like, oh, I guess we're gonna follow him somewhere. Kind of like it didn't
y'all,
have any.
but you also didn't see the heads.
Yeah.
I was just saying, like, it didn't have any like heightened sense of risk or danger to it. It was just like
Blood
oh,
doesn't mean danger.
like all the people are saying, go follow him. Everyone's okay. He didn't attack the girl who whispered in his ear, so I guess it's okay, kind of thing.
I know, even that whisper in his ear, I was like, whoa, this
Yeah,
is crazy.
I don't know. I just didn't, none of this sat well with me. And like, you know, anyway, I don't want to shit on it too bad because for the people, again, the location is magnificent. I cannot say enough about it. I will say, just to reiterate again, it is dangerous. It is something to be concerned about. Like, you need to watch your footing for sure. I definitely think, thanks to Lizzie and this other chick, they're probably going to add some candles at the bottom, which they should.
Yeah.
You know, if any one person gets hurt, then you need to make a change. This is supposed to be an enjoyable experience. That chick's probably like, fuck, that's not cool. You know,
Yeah.
she really hurt her ankle. And like Jessica said too, it's not going to hurt anything. Like, there are candles everywhere here.
Yeah.
You can easily find a motivation to put them at the end or the base of a staircase.
And literally, like especially the staircases that like Lizzie tripped on, I was like, there was nothing near them that was like, yeah, you shouldn't light this too much. You know what I mean?
Literally could not see the floor though.
That's what I'm saying. And I was like, it didn't serve anything to do that. You know what I mean? While it's like, sometimes you're like, yeah, we have this cool effect coming up, or someone's hiding in the shadows, or, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? You don't want to show too much. So we do need to keep it dark. And this is difficult. Those areas didn't feel that. Like, I was like, they're at the bottom of steps and we're going into a room separate. So it wouldn't even affect you if you light this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't know about the room you guys talked about that the chick fell in. Like, maybe that specifically needed to stay dark. I don't know.
I don't think so. No.
See, so to me, it's like, it just seems like a bad oversight of like, you should have thought about that safety ahead of time, and that should have been your most lit areas, if anything. You know what I mean? There's really, other than when you're on the staircase with like the orderly, and even that felt fine because they had done enough of the glow tape going up, and we were going up, and then you had a big area around there that it's like that was safe enough, and that still also had a good lighting up at the top.
Yeah.
So to me, I don't know. I think it is, I kind of have to fault them a little bit for that it's like they knew it was dark enough they needed to put glow tape, but they shouldn't have just relied on that, because I think you're right. I think glow tape isn't always enough. That's more, even in a theatrical kind of element, we put glow tape on things that people are already aware of. We make everyone aware of, hey, when you're coming off stage, it's dark. There is a pole here. There is a doorway here. It's like people already know that. And then we put glow tape on it as a reminder of like, you look for the glow tape to avoid it. That's the whole point of those things. And the same with steps. We put glow tape on it, but everyone knows there are steps here. There is still a handrail. Like, you should still do these things. They're not there to show people who have not been in that space before. Like, you shouldn't rely on that. That's when you put seat lighting, like in theaters, right? There's a reason that there are rope lights going up steps in a theater, because it's dark and you don't want to take away from it. But guess what? Safety. We can't just rely on glow tape for that.
So, final thoughts on, first of all, 2 questions. What are your final thoughts on Delusion, and is it worth the price? Because that's a big thing. Lizzie, you go first because this is your first time going.
I still had fun, but for the price, no.
No.
If it was like half the price, maybe even like $60, I would have been like, that was expensive, but it was fun. But for $100, it didn't feel like it was worth it.
Yeah.
That's a good answer. Jessica.
What was your other question?
First of all, what your final thoughts on it,
Final
and
thoughts.
is it worth it?
Was that your final thoughts?
Yeah, that overall I had a good time. It was a little confusing at points, but that also could have just been the adrenaline of it all and stuff. But I'm like, overall, I had a fun time. Would I want to go again for $100? Like, if I really enjoyed an event, that's an event that I'm like, I would spend $100 to go back again this year and do it again. And I don't feel anywhere near that.
Yeah, I can get that.
Good point.
My final thoughts is I do think that there are some things that were improved this year. Like I said, I do think that there was some more audience interaction that I really enjoyed, and I did like the new location. Even if, of course, the old location still holds a place in my heart, I still feel like, okay, this new one was very nice and refreshing to have. And I'm with you, Lizzie. I had fun at this thing, but I also would not spend the $100 on it. I might go somewhere around 80 probably at max for how much I would spend on this for what we got this year. Just because I know that these things are usually expensive anyways, and I still might feel a little cheated at that cost. But yeah, I have a hard time with this one because in the past they have just done so much more that made it feel worth going for like $100. When you get these really cool effects that nobody else does, like that's the reason I like tell everybody to check out Delusion is literally I'm just like their visual effects are better than anyone else's. They will create monsters that you have you will blow you away, and they will do these things that just have always a show-stopping moment. There's always a show-stopping moment. And so I think that's what gets me like hyped about it for this year is it's just like I do feel like that fell flat and made me a liar. No, but so that's the only thing is it's disappointing because of that. We love Delusion. We would love them to come back and do some more things. But I am with you that like I almost want to know for next year that there's some assurance that you will go back to having more of those creatures, more visual effects, and not just rely on a story that it also didn't leave me with anything. It's one thing if you feel conflicted by a story. It's one thing if you feel a certain way or it affects you. Like that's the whole thing with stories. Like, you just got to do something good as far as that. It either needs to be such a strong story you don't need the monsters, or you got to bring those monsters back. Is kind of how I'm feeling about it.
Yeah, I think I'm with you guys too. Honestly, it's in my opinion, it's not worth the price they're charging to get in. Obviously, a lot of that's probably the location, like you had mentioned. Doesn't feel like a lot of that went to set design and creature effects, like you mentioned, Jessica. In the past, they've had some incredible monstrosities that will chase you around, and you'll feel in peril and in danger around these things. Show-stopping moments. There's some of the biggest things that have happened to me during Halloween season have happened during Delusion events. Not one happened this time. The most impressive thing about this year's offering was the location, for me at least, and even that proved to be dangerous. Like it was one thing to enjoy it; it's another thing to actually have it function as a haunted house, an immersive event. 2 people got hurt. It could have been a lot worse. I applaud them for trying. They've gotten away from in the past. Like you said, the house they had in the past couple of years, that's dangerous. I wonder if anybody got hurt in that. Maybe that's just like somebody's going to fall. They just like, you know what I mean? It's an acceptable casualty to them. I don't know. But in my opinion, it's not worth what they charge. I would probably charge around 80, like you said, because there is a lot of cost that goes into it. And
Sure.
Everything they did this year, though, was worse than last year, in my opinion. Minus the location, their hangout, their premium hangout, their cocktail offering.
The offering at the beginning.
That wasn't very good. Last year's was great. Their merch shop last year I felt like might have been a little bit better. I think everything that they've done before this year has been better. So
yeah, it always makes me sad when they come off of the pre-show element of this. Because every year, generally, they have the whole come early and hang out and come look at things. And the first year we went was really good, where you literally got to explore and you could spend a whole another hour just exploring and messing with things to figure out like clues or extra things for the story.
Yeah.
The next year after that, they didn't do anything, and that was really disappointing. Like they just had it feel atmospheric, but nothing. And then the year after that, they came back and they had entertainment and things to go on.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that felt so cool. And they had like the creepy, like I said, the projection of like the ghosty thing and stuff. So they've done cool stuff in the beginning that makes you also get into the mood for it and makes you want to hang out and have a drink and food.
Right.
But this also was like they had left out some cool stuff from their past years, which is fun to look at. But then it just reminded me of like why their last years were better technically. You know what I mean? So anywho.
Do you tell people to go to Delusion this year?
No, I would say skip it this year.
What about you? Somebody's never been. Would you tell someone to go?
Not for that price.
There we go. I would tell someone to skip this year too. It sucks. It's heartbreaking, but hopefully this trend does not continue with what we're doing in a couple days, which is Dark Harbor. I'm over the moon excited. You are
Cautiously excited.
cautiously excited.
Lizzie?
Yeah. What about you? Yeah, how you
Well,
feel
I'm
about
mixed. Because I heard Shackfest was not great.
Shackfest was horrible.
Oktoberfest.
But Dark Harbor in the past was great. So
Yeah.
It's a question. Are they combining it or what? But
Yeah.
we're going to go back on the ship, and I'm pretty excited about that.
And
I am excited about that.
You know, when we were setting our slate for what spooky season would be, we pretty much had it locked down. There's one thing that popped up on our radar that we can kind of thank Lizzie for pushing us in that direction. That I don't want to spoil it, but it was incredible. We'll have a full episode on that coming up. But anyway, yeah, for Chris, Jessica, and Lizzie.
Jessica.
Liz. What?
Thanks for listening.
Stick around.